This episode of an Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Frank Kirk,
Joel Smith,
and Fathers Everywhere.
Thank you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to an Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez,
And I'm Lane.
and we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda.
This week, we will be covering many meetings as a part of our journey through Middle-earth. We're in the House of Elrond. We're meeting new people, singing songs, and we're getting a very well-deserved rest.
I feel pretty comfy. I'm actually wearing sweatpants right now, and I feel like I'm well rested, as I feel really good tonight.
Yeah, I feel really good tonight, too. And it's also, like, again, we talked about how these episodes parallel.
Yep, stealing my mouth.
Am I stealing
my
your
words?
mouth?
Not my mouth.
I'll take your mouth. Easy, son.
That's a
But, you know, it like we've had a situation in the last couple weeks, like a many meetings type of experience. You know, me talking to your father, you talking to my father, you know, just got really emotional. We thought we were going to start this episode just bawling our eyes out today.
We did in the kitchen.
We
shed tears
crying
in the kitchen. Yep. Crying in the kitchen. That's a podcast name.
That's a great name. But, you know, it just is what it is. I mean, like these gatherings, meeting old friends, coming together, everybody's safe and we're okay in the House of Elrond.
That's right. We're reconnecting.
You know?
We're seeing people that we haven't seen for a long time that we thought we may never see again.
Right.
And it's a relief. It's a joyous occasion. We did kind of diving into. You want to get into quick counsel here?
Yeah, let's dive into it.
I mean, we kind of met someone yesterday. Does it even feel like it really happened, Des?
No, this is part of what's so emotional right now for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it was so emotional seeing Billy Boyd.
We met. Here's what I keep saying. I know it sounds weird. We met Pippin.
Right.
It didn't feel when we were sitting there or standing there talking to Billy Boyd.
Yeah.
In an autograph line, right? That anybody could go through.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I was talking to Pippin.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was talking to a movie star. I didn't feel like I was talking to a celebrity.
Yeah.
I felt like I was talking to my old friend Billy. That's how this man makes you feel.
Right. And it was, I just want to briefly mention a few things about this. I mean, there is an initial, a pre-meeting, like before Lane went in, he's sweating and he almost passed out on me. And,
dude, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack for a second. No joke. My heart was beating so hard in a bad way.
Yeah, it was
real bad.
Yeah. You were like, I need to change my pants. And I thought you were being serious because of all
from sweat.
It was crazy.
I was so sweaty.
But anyways, so there's an initial sort of reaction to right afterwards. We sit down and talk about what happened. And, you know, I don't know if I said this. It's on patreon.com/UpTalkingTolkien. And, you know, it's free. Anybody can go listen to it. You don't have to pay for it. It's just something you guys can go check out and things. You know, the night before, I was doing what you were doing. I was walking back and forth like, oh my gosh, there he is. You know, and everybody who walked away from him was like smiling, having a good time, very happy. And, you know, but then there were times where like there was no one at his booth and he was just there talking with the assistants, very chill, just like, I don't know, like really in control of his own life and stuff. And it just made me feel so good.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
So anyways, you guys should definitely go check out that little reaction that we had there. I think the piece that we want to mention today is that he unexpectedly signed something for all of you guys.
Yes, he did.
We did not ask him to do that.
No, we didn't. And that was just further evidence of his graciousness, his kindness. I mean, honestly, he was always the funniest Hobbit.
Yeah.
But now he's my favorite Hobbit.
He's
like without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Today, listening to this chapter and reading through it, I looked at it very differently. Again, I thought more. It's weird because like we got to have this connect. We get to see who he was. You know, I get that he's at a Comic-Con and different things or whatever, but like we had some downtime. There was no one behind us. We probably talked to him for 15 to 20 minutes. It felt like 15 or 20 minutes.
It was 10 to 15 minutes, man.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was like conversation. That's what he did. That's just what he did.
I know.
I was definitely not myself before. I was fanboying in that line. I was sweating. My hands were cold. And then we got up there.
Yeah.
And we just started talking to him. And he he put you at such ease. He made you feel like an old friend.
Yeah.
And he just brought out the best in you. I mean, the guy, I can't say it enough. The man's amazing.
Well,
he's amazing.
Here's the thing. I've met other celebrities
Sure.
and different people and things like that. I've actually done that quite a bit. I've honestly never met someone who like just made you feel more at ease as quickly as he did, and who was authentic.
Yeah.
And actually felt like he was just a unique. You had a connection to like a good soul.
Yes.
Like a really good soul. And I don't know.
Didn't it feel like you were reconnecting with an old friend?
I'm telling you,
it felt
man.
like we were in Rivendell.
Well, what took it to the next level was when he actually started asking questions about us and your daughter, and then gave us some fatherly advice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I said, any advice you can give to from a father who's been a father for a while to a new father.
Yeah.
I said, is that weird to ask? He was like, no, old man, it's great. I like it.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Let me think about it. And he gave us something that, like I've heard from people I love and trust.
Yeah.
Something I've already thought about that I want to aim, and he just reconfirmed it, and he put it in such a way that was, I mean, it's just me. And the whole thing was kind of unexpected too, right? You had gone, we weren't planning on going together. So let me tell you about how amazing of a friend Ezra Kirk is. You can't find a better friend than Ezra Kirk. You guys know that because, I mean, we're your friends too. He's your friend too.
I love you guys.
So I wasn't able to go. Ez went Saturday. It was a 3-day thing like all these Comic Cons. He was there to see the 501st. He went Saturday. I wasn't able to go. I think we talked about wanting to go, and it just didn't. I was like, I don't know about the money. It wasn't going to be able to work out.
Right.
He sends me a picture of a signed picture of Billy Boyd that says Ezra and Lane.
Yeah.
That is something you do not have to do. I don't think I'm selfless enough of a person to have done that too, or inclusive enough person to do what you did. It meant the world to me. And then you told the story about going back and giving him a pop socket and saying, hey, if you ever want to come on our book club and share stories, people would freak out. We'd love it. Here's our information.
Yeah.
And then that inspired me. I'm like, you know what? I was like, is he going to be there tomorrow? You were like, Laney's going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we're gonna go meet him together. We're gonna go meet him together. And it was just the most amazing experience. And yes, he did something very unexpected. We went through with we paid for an autograph, and I was like, you were like, he might sign more than one thing. And I'm like, and it was right before I left. I'm like, what can I grab? I was like, I gotta grab my book.
Right.
I gotta grab my book. This is what we're reading from. I read from the same book. I underline it.
Annotate it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Bible right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, I gotta bring this. So I grabbed it before I left. We get there. We give the autograph ticket, and I said, now look, I said I have my book, and could we also have him sign a picture and my book?
Right.
And she goes, if you give us $60 more bucks, yeah. I was like, okay. I said, that's
and
fine.
Again, that's not him, by the way, guys.
No.
That's someone working there, an assistant.
And I understand that. I was not surprised by that.
Yeah.
I expected that. I was like, that's okay. I said, you know what? I'm just going to get my book signed. Thank you. I just wanted to ask out of curiosity. She said, no problem. We go through, and I was like, hey, I said, I did bring something for you to sign. We thanked him for the picture. I said, I had to come all this way. Just thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Right.
I said, I've got the best friend in the world here. And then we gave him a drawing that I did. Of him as Pippin.
Yeah.
And then I said, here's my book. Would you mind signing it? He said, oh, great. Yeah, no problem. And then we'd already talked about Winnie, and I said, can you make it out to my wife and my daughter?
Yeah.
And so he signed my book for my girls.
Yeah. And
we kept talking. It was great.
Yeah.
And we told him about you guys. And he was so blown away by you guys. He goes, all right, give me a second. He went down, grabbed a picture, came back. He said, what do you call yourselves? Like, what are they, who'd I make it out to?
Right.
And we were like,
I like freaked out for a second. Yeah.
I was like,
I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, oh no, do we upset him or something?
Yeah, he's telling his assistant, get these guys out of here. Like, throw them out.
They're out.
Get them
out. But no, he grabbed something for you guys, and it was just, he does this thing too. I love it. Like where he sits and he looks down.
He's a very contemplative person.
Yes.
He's thinking all the time.
And he's always thinking, and I could see it,
very
his
thoughtful.
mind working. And he was like, we're doing this. These guys, this will be for their, for the book club, for the listeners.
For the uppers.
And so he signs this thing, and he signed it to the uppers.
Yeah.
Much love from Minas Tirith.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it was awesome. It blew our minds.
Yep.
Such a kind soul, and he's a giver. You know?
Yes, he is.
I honestly believe that.
Absolutely.
I've started to think more about that. And he is a giver. He's someone who gave so much time to everybody who was up there.
Yeah.
Gave us more than we deserved.
Oh, absolutely. Just with his time alone. I mean.
Yeah. Because
amazing.
To be honest with you, some of those people will never meet him again or never ever see him again. And it's meaningful. The stories are meaningful, and he gets that.
Yep.
And so he made everyone feel like they had a good experience.
Yep.
Because that could be the only experience that they have, and it's just they can carry that influences the next person and so on, and it's I call it a positive force in the world.
Yeah,
you know, and that's just what he is, and so
yeah.
It was epic, man.
We love you, Billy.
Yeah,
like
we really do, man.
You made our days. You made a lifelong memory. We'll never forget that, and that's something cool that we have together too.
Right,
and then it trickles down to my beautiful daughter, my beautiful wife.
Right, yeah.
That I can pass that on to them.
It trickles down a step further because it
goes to all of us, doesn't it? Jeremiah Allen
got
a pretty good idea. He didn't think he was just saying it in jest, to quote him.
Right,
but. You want to talk about this?
Yeah. So the idea was that he's like, so who gets the signed
he said we passed it around Stanley Cup style.
Yeah.
And we were like, it's not a bad idea.
That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And so what we thought would be cool, and anybody who's interested, I'm going to create I have a Google form where you just go on, you put your name, you put your address, and you just say, by doing that, you're indicating that you're interested and you would like to be one of the members who this is passed to. And so we send it to the first person. We want them to take a selfie with it. If they're going on vacation for a week, we really want everybody to keep it maybe for 5 to 7 days. Mm-hmm. Do something fun with it. Put it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Take a picture.
Eat second breakfast with it.
Eat second breakfast, yeah. Tag it or something on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, wherever you're at. And then we'll have a list. I'll put that list out there, and you can go look and see, okay, I see who's next. So-and-so is next. Here's their address. So you are agreeing to kind of pay a little bit of the shipping cost. And, it's not much, though, I wouldn't think.
Well worth it, yeah.
And so we'll find a way to kind of ship that around to different people. And if the frame breaks or something crazy, don't worry about that. We'll replace it, send it back to Lane and I, and we just want to see, how well the fellowship can take care of it and where this thing can go.
And then also,
isn't that fun?
Oh, dude, it's amazing.
Oh, you wanted to put a map with it, didn't you?
I think, we could do that. I mean, I would love to do that. I don't know if
kind of track where it's
been. If everyone would be down for that. But what we could do is we could like fold up a big map of Earth.
Yeah.
And wherever it is, you can put a little X or heart or something wherever you are, and write your name and maybe like the date you had it or something.
Yeah,
or a quick message. Well, and then that'd be great for us to get back, and we could hang up, wherever we're recording, and look at that and just think about this book club is all over Middle Earth, man.
Do you know? I'll have to talk to you more about this, but on the back, I don't know if we could. If there's a way to do something, or leave messages in it to people as you go, even if it's inside the frame or something, leave different like a note or something. So it's it's all about the fellowship.
It's so cool.
It's just a cool idea.
And again, ideas that you guys had.
Yeah. So Jeremiah, that I mean,
we're calling it the Jeremiah Allen Project.
Yeah, we're going with it, man. It's good. So we're moving forward with that idea. So what we'll do is we're going to start it with our patrons because they've definitely really helped us out and been super involved in things, and that doesn't end there. So we're going to start there, and it's a sign up thing. I don't want to send it to somebody who doesn't want it and wants that. Oh, here's a task. I have to go do something with it. No, it's no worry. You don't have to. Anybody who wants to can sign up.
Yep.
I'll just send it first to some of the patrons, and then whoever's on that list, boom, we're just going to keep sending it. We're going to go right in order as first come, first serve to an extent,
Sure.
But we'll get that rolling for sure. So,
man, it's exciting, isn't
it's exciting. So, all right,
so cool.
All right, guys, let's move on. We could talk about that all day. That experience.
Yeah, we could.
One more quick update. Anyone who's interested, I'll make this really brief. Merchandise. Some of Lane's artwork, T-shirts, things like that. We have a new tier, Become an Elf, on our Patreon page, and we'll send you, a T-shirt. And then every 6 months, I think like June and December, we got some care packages. We've got some other fun stuff in that tier that we're going to be sharing with you guys. So I just had to put that in there, a quick plug, and then we're done with that.
Yes, yeah. We also have some fun goals that we're going to do too.
Oh, the goals are hilarious.
If we reach certain can't we talk right now? If we reach certain goals or whatever, right?
Community. It's a community-based goal.
As we build the community, we'll. I think the first one is at 30 patrons, we're going to have an archery and axe throwing contest.
Yeah.
Bring out our inner elf and dwarf. So that'll be pretty fun. We'll go to a place where we can make it happen. We'll have Goldberry videotape. And maybe her join in because she'll probably kick both of our butts.
Probably.
The other ones are great too. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but Ezra's a creator You know,
so and we're open to new goals there. So this should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
All right, guys. I think for Dropping Eves, since it's Father's Day, by the way, Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you to all our wonderful fathers out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we actually have we're gonna kind of bypass that this week, and we're gonna jump into some chats.
Yep.
With our dads.
Yep. Daddy chats.
Yeah. So the first one we have here, I got the chance to talk to Lane's dad, Joel Smith. And it's a good conversation. As we said in the beginning, the theme here with many meetings, it works out, doesn't it?
It's amazing.
We're on some path that I don't understand what's happening.
Is it fate or fortune?
It's crazy.
I don't know.
So I got a chance I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I got a chance to talk to him and stuff. So guys, go ahead and take a listen, and then we'll react to it.
Yep.
All right, so we have a special guest with us now, and we would like to ask him a couple questions, just in general. We have this opportunity here to share, to get a live Tolkien story on the podcast. So we have Mr. Smith, Joel Smith, Lane Smith's father. How's it going?
Good. This is really, this is a good experience. This is really fun.
Yeah.
For me, first time.
I know, and this is
first time is always the best. Is that what they say?
That's what they say, right? Yes. Is that what she said? Sometimes does she say that?
That's what we wish she'd say.
Well, there we go. I heard you say that earlier. That was awesome. So we typically at the end of the show we share some of our just first experiences with either the movies or the book series. Lord of the Rings.
I get you. See it coming. Yeah, I saw this coming. So for me, it was all about Lane. My son. He and it's really funny because you would think that. The whole Lord of the Rings thing is it's very me. There's a lot of testosterone in the stories, right?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of manhood, a lot of chivalry, a lot of bravery, a lot of brotherhood, camaraderie.
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so you would think I was really surprised that I didn't know about it before Lane got hooked on it.
Yeah.
And so really for me it was like. My son turned me on to it, and it was like it's a treasure trove, obviously, of stories that are so meaningful and so, ring so true to so many people across age groups and nationalities.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't matter where you come from, you can relate to all this stuff, and so so it was because of Lane, and then his passion, kind of sort of. And it's funny how, your kids can teach you things. A lot of parents, I think in parenting, there's a lot of dreams or wishes that you can impart wisdom and help guide your children.
Right.
And a lot of times, that happens, but a lot of times your children teach you. And so that's kind of sort of how I feel about this. And I don't think he understands, that. Yeah. That's what's so neat to me is because I think he sees me as his father and he's my son.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give himself enough credit for that. But, but for me in my heart, it's just been special for me. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I get that. It's almost like my dad has said to me, and we were actually just talking about the idea that, we grow beyond our parents and that we're,
sure.
use what he's taught you, I guess, and
it's a mutual kind of
thing. And then there's this responsibility for me to go beyond that and then to keep it going, type of thing. I don't know. So
the legacy.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's pretty awesome.
One more question, maybe. Yeah. I don't know if I have one more answer, but I'll try. I don't know, depending on how hard the question is. That first one took it out of me.
I know it's pretty good. No, that was a great answer because I think that a lot of it, like the shared experiences. You know what I mean? Because I have to say, my dad, same thing. Like he's learned some of this stuff that I'm into, right? It's like, I was just explaining. We were talking before this, right? That I told him what this was like, what it was. He was asking me, I guess he started to understand me and what am I passionate about, right? And so that's why I like what you said there. I think that's important.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. So try to think other, did you guys actually attend? Did you go to the movies with Lane?
We've been to the movies. It was really cool because I don't know when this was. Lane could probably tell you when we went with I went with. It's kind of interesting because here's the old guy going with a bunch of these young kids.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. It was Lane and Jim Nichols.
Yeah.
and Bobby Ray, and we did a whole day, and we watched all of them.
Oh, you did like
3 of them. We did the.
You did the extended edition all one day?
Did in one day. It was amazing, but it was brutal because that was a lot of stuff, packed in one day. But it was exhausting too because there's a lot of emotion, that plays through that. And that's the thing about this work, the mastery or the brilliance of timeless work or art, storytelling. I mean, that's what this represents. I mean, in 200 years, if mankind's still around, this stuff will still be moving people. They'll still be talking about it. They'll still be experiencing it with their children and things like that. And then the other really cool recollection I have is when we took Lane to Howard Shore. We went to the symphony, in Columbus, and we actually heard Howard Shore do it with the orchestra. It was fascinating.
Smokes,
Lane can tell you more about that, but that was. We took him, and I don't remember how old he was. Maybe beginning high school or something.
So they
were
playing the soundtrack,
the whole thing. Wow. It was awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. No, you said something that's important. We've talked a lot on this podcast that these stories, we connect to them, but then we also take them and we tie them to our own lives, and then they're individualized, right? Because we embody it, or we see it in our lives or whatever. It's also like passing on, like you said, what you've learned, and then just the lessons that are in them are really the reason why we do it. It's why we're passionate about it, why we love it. And to hear you say that you've, that connection that you have with Lane, it means a lot to me because I keep thinking about my dad and I recently going through this sort of rediscovering, what are you passionate about? What are you into? And
just think about what you did for him. You showed a part of yourself to him that if you guys weren't able to talk, some children and fathers aren't able to talk.
No.
And you actually had a dialogue, and you have that kind of relationship that allowed you to show him a part of you.
Right.
That again, like you said, you're passionate about, you care about, and then he was able to see that and say, well, that's really awesome. My son, this is cool.
Right. It is. It was nice for me to because I had kind of hidden this. I mean, this happens sometimes, I guess. And I hadn't told Dad a lot about this or whatever.
Sometimes we compartmentalize things.
And Lane and I were talking about that just a little bit, how you kind of, it's just. We decided when we did this podcast, just let it all out, whatever, be who you are and grow in confidence. And it's our parents who have kind of given us that, have raised us that way. You should be confident. You should be proud of who you are. We are proud of you. And it's nice to hear that, it's just, I don't know. So,
cool. But I think that's going to be about it for me, Ez.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me say a few words. And you guys, I really love you and you're doing an amazing job. This whole thing is, who knows where it can go? Yeah. I mean, you're going to determine where it goes. Yeah. Because, just as long as you want to invest yourself in it, it'll bear fruit. So just have a great night. Hey, love you guys.
Yeah, we love you too. We appreciate
care.
it. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And he always has good insights and good thoughts, I don't know, about life. And he's just,
he's amazing.
Sounds a lot like you, by the way.
I'll pick up the phone now and I can pretend to be him. It's great. People don't know if they're talking to me or him. We have very similar voice. I love my dad. My mom and my dad are the two heroes of my life for different reasons. They both have shown me a path that I want to take. They have set an example of who I want to be. I've always said if I'm half the father my dad is, and I die that way. Right. If I can die half the father my dad was, half the man he is, I'll be very, very happy. I'll be very satisfied with that. So, I could go on forever about him, but I love my dad. I love you, Mom. Both of you. I have the only parents I could ever have that could ever raise me. I've been given. So, and it's cool. I love seeing. Actually, Ezra reminds me a lot of my dad. He'll do stuff that it's uncanny. I don't know why. It makes no sense, but they have similar personality traits and in the way they interact with me. It's kind of funny. They have ways of building me up when I don't expect it and then knocking me down when I do expect it. So it's a good thing. It keeps me in check, but it keeps me driven. So so it was cool to have, and cool to have you guys reconnect as well. So
it wasn't.
Speaking of reconnecting, I haven't seen your dad in years.
I know.
I haven't talked to him in forever.
Right.
And we just got off the phone with your dad.
Yeah, I know.
So I got to talk to him. I was actually pretty nervous because I haven't spoken with him for so long, and I'm like, does he even remember who I am?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not an important person. So
no, you are.
For your dad to remember me and to be able to talk to him was an honor too.
Well, and I'll say too, my dad, when I told him about this, he was so nervous. He was like, I don't know much about it. You know, I just have my connection to it through you and stuff. And I was like, don't worry, it'll be fine.
Ezra, there is no small connection to Tolkien. There is no small connection to Middle Earth. Right. All connections are equal, man. I mean, he put stuff so perfectly, so simply that I was like, yeah. I mean, you're right. He should take over this podcast.
Well, it is. I mean, that's the thing. With my dad, it was very the simple, straightforward answers and stuff. But that's just who he is. And
he's a hobbit, man.
So I love it, But and then we had to do a little bit of masterful editing to make it all work. But it was a lot of fun, and I love him. So let's take a listen real quick.
We are here with Mr. Kirk, the father of the incredible Ezra Kirk, the amazing father of the amazing Ezra Kirk. And we're talking to him because, well, this episode is coming to you on Father's Day. And we wanted to get Mr. Kirk's, we want him to share some stories, his connections to Lord of the Rings. So how you doing, Mr. Kirk?
I'm doing good.
It's excellent to hear your voice. It's been a long time since we've talked, and it's really a beautiful thing to hear your voice.
Well, good to hear you too.
Thank you. So, well, I would like you to tell me a memory from Lord of the Rings that you have. It could be the stories. It could be the movies. It could be tied to Ez. Just we want to hear your connection to Middle Earth. So you can talk as long as you want. I'll ask you questions if you want to, but we want to hear your voice.
Okay.
Well,
I got started watching it after him and his mom had watched them. Mm-hmm. And then I got involved in watching them, and I really took to it, liked it. Like that it was like a high fantasy adventure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I loved Frodo Baggins.
Who doesn't? He's the best, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just the whole concept of him trying to, save the people of the Middle Earth people.
Yeah.
Destroying the One Ring and all that. It was really neat. Plus, it was really just a good show.
Absolutely. Okay, so you are actually, people might not know this, you are a pastor. So I'm imagining there are strong connections between your faith and what you were attracted to in those stories. Could you talk about that? Is that true? Could you talk about that?
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
Except for you always root for the good guys.
That's right.
And you always want the good guys to overcome the evil.
Exactly.
Yes. But as far as watching movies and stuff, I always know it's just a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that story, that good versus evil, is something that...
Yeah, that was good. And you always root for the good guy.
Absolutely. So Frodo's your favorite character. Why is Frodo your favorite?
Oh, I guess because of his quest. Mm-hmm. And then all the trials and tribulations, so to speak, he had to go through to conquer it. Yeah,
he goes through a ton, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, so also,
but one of my favorites too was the Elves.
Oh, the Elves are amazing. Why do you like the Elves?
Because they were so disciplined.
Yes, they are. That's really, right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And they seem to be good-hearted people and just real disciplined.
Exactly. Yeah, they are. They're elevated, aren't they? They're so refined and true to the light, the path to light, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah. So, do you also have connections to the Hobbit as well? We talked Lord of the Rings. What about the Hobbit?
Yes, I started watching that with Ezra, and I really like that too.
Do you?
I like the setting in Shire.
Yeah.
And all that. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, fantasy or something. Me to it. I just thought it was really neat.
Oh yeah. Do you have a preference? If I gave you a choice, you got to sit down and watch Lord of the Rings with Ez, or you got to sit down and watch The Hobbit. Which are you picking?
They're both good.
It's a toss up.
Yeah. I'd say toss up.
Toss up. I love that. Do you have do you have like a really strong memory, specific memory tied to watching those films with Ezra?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
After his mom had surgery and we got out of the hospital, we went to watch The Hobbit.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was around Christmas time. Yeah, it was kind of special, we all being together.
Yeah, that absolutely would be. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we know that she was a lover of all things fantasy, all things sci-fi, that she you know, kind of got Ezra into this world and into reading through these stories.
Yeah,
so that's also a special place. Yeah.
Right. I actually didn't know that until he told me.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually didn't know that. I mean, I knew he read the books and things, but I didn't know
that special connection.
You know, right.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Kirk, I want to tell you happy Father's Day. I want to say thank you for being an amazing father, and also for you raised two amazing kids, and one of them just happens to be one of my best friends in the world. And so I hope that you feel special this Father's Day. I hope that you know that you have been an amazing father to raise such amazing kids. And thank you for talking with us for a little bit.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It's good to talk to you, and I'm real proud of both my children. I love them both.
They're amazing, aren't they? They're enviable kids for sure. I hope I do half a good job as you as a father. I really do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man.
Well, good luck with everything, and you guys just keep plugging along, okay?
We will. We will.
Okay.
You have to come on the show again sometime, all right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right, man. I'll see you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
There you go.
Yep.
So, you know,
Frank Kirk, beautiful man.
You know, if you guys stay tuned to the end, I've got a little bit where we kind of give my dad a little crap for.
I think that was you, Ez.
I was giving him crap. Let me tell you, because like he was talking to me last night, and I was like, Dad, can you pronounce any of these names? You know, like I was just kind of laughing with him, and he was just like, I don't know, you know. So
they're not easy names to pronounce.
I can't pronounce. You guys know. I mean, listen to me every week. You know,
it's it's all Elvish to me. You know what I mean?
So, anyways, but I love my dad, and yeah, it was
amazing, man.
I appreciate you doing that and talking to him. And
of course, it was an honor. Thank you for letting me.
Yeah,
Frank, thanks for letting me talk to you, man.
Yeah,
Mr. Kirk. Mr. Kirk.
So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and to our dads. We really appreciate them for raising us up, you know, in the way that they did and stuff. So very proud.
Absolutely. All right. In other corners of Middle Earth, we have just some poll results right now. And so we're actually recording this kind of early. This has only been out a day, but holy cow, guys. In one day, in a little over 24 hours, we've had 78 votes. Unreal. We've gone a fortnight before and not had that. So you guys are really jumping in. I think it's this weekly well wishes. I think being meeting more frequently, we're all thinking about it more often, and
it's fresh in our minds and things like that. And honestly, guys, it's the perfect time to do it, because you know this landing pad that we're on right now in the middle of this book and at the start of book 2 is awesome. And so nice. It just we're like, I don't know, man. It was the perfect time to switch the format, because the adventure takes off now, really, in a big way.
It really does. So, it really does.
What do you got poll results-wise?
Sure, yeah. So you've been stabbed by a Morgul blade and need to get to Rivendell. Would you rather ride with Arwen and Asphaleth or just Asphaleth? Okay. Kind of a no-brainer, right? Because if you can have Asphaleth and Arwen, why wouldn't you? Right?
Right, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Arwen and Asphaleth, 90%. Just Asphaleth, 10%, and that's out of 78 votes. I do want to read some of the comments because they're pretty funny.
Yeah.
Michael Upshaw said, normally I'm a purist, but by gosh, how could I turn down Arwen? Right. And so this, of course, this poll is also kind of, relating to the differences in this portion from book to film. Mm-hmm. So it was a device they used to have Arwen more involved and to make her, I mean, she is a hero too, but make her more directly involved in the storyline. A lot of her story is told in the appendices,
right,
and not directly within the stories we're reading. So So James West said, "What a lovely, beautiful lady." Tara Lynn said, "Glorfindel, of course." So there you go.
I know.
See, I'm forgetting the ladies. How dare I?
Yeah, how dare you?
Right? It should have been with Arwen or with Glorfindel. So I apologize for that. Again, Luca Michaletsky. I got that right?
Yeah.
She says just Arwen, and then there's a beautiful picture of Arwen the Snuggly.
Yeah. We're turning that into a shirt.
And would you guys like an Arwen the Snuggly shirt?
Yes.
I do. And she would be the best ride. That's right.
Yeah.
Pepper, is this a guy thing? I'm with Tara Lynn. Bring on Glorfindel.
Wow.
So that's 2 for for Glorfindel. He would be fun to ride with too.
Yeah,
I gotta say, you'd feel safe. And then Myron Benelli said, "I'll ride with Glorfindel." So Myron is taking the ride with Ez. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What was your vote on that?
I said with Arwen.
With Arwen? Yeah.
You did too. I saw that.
Darn it. You saw it.
I mean,
I did.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't I? But I didn't know Glorfindel was another option. So no.
See that, and that's helpful for the poll. I mean, I got to rewrite that poll. That's no good. Throw that one out.
It's fantastic. So, all right, guys. I think
get into it here.
Yeah, I think we're ready to dive into this. This is a meaty, chapter, and I think we might be to the chapter in record time. So again. Man, we just keep breaking.
More efficient.
New PR.
Yeah.
So let's go over some recap. We really didn't have. Each week we kind of put the link up there on Facebook and let you guys make some comments about the chapter. And this week, I think what overwhelmed people was the fact that there's another episode.
That's right. I was just looking at that. It's nothing about the chapter. It's all just we're pretty excited.
Yeah, so. People are happy that we're moving along and we're getting some good stuff.
And we are recording this a day after it just came out.
Yeah, I was going to say that too because
we'll catch up next episode.
Yeah, Ez is going on vacation, and so we're trying to make sure we get stuff out for you guys and stuff. So, but anyways, so send those, and we're willing to recap a couple chapters. So as those come in, we'll definitely because they'll come in by the end of the week and stuff like that, and so we'll get to that next chapter as well too. So. All right. In summary, many meetings here. Mm-hmm. So basically, guys, Frodo, the Black Riders were defeated at the ford of Bruinen. Mm-hmm. That was pretty epic.
Yeah, it was.
We got to see my man, in action, Glorfindel.
Come on, you gotta shout it,
Glorfindel, dude, in all of his power and glory, just like.
I gotta admit to something here, and it's gonna sound I'm still on adrenaline dump from meeting Billy, so the weird thing coming out.
You're excused.
I really overlooked Glorfindel,
dude.
Like the previous times I read this, and I think maybe it was always like, well, he wasn't in the movie, I'm gonna gloss over him.
Right,
right. Terrible mindset. This guy.
Yeah, I know. The more
he's a boss.
I mean, I knew him pretty well from the reading, and I remember him, and I remember that being a distinction between book and movie.
Yes.
But what I didn't know was all of this, his coming back, his return.
Yeah.
The gift that he's given.
Yes. Right.
His lordship. His heritage. And
getting more into the background of these stories and the histories of the stories, doesn't it make you feel like you're reading it for the first time?
Oh my God!
We're calling this a reread, guys, but I feel like a little boy who's reading it for the first time. My eyes are being opened to enlightenment. Like it's unreal. I feel kind of like this dream that Frodo slipped into this chapter, where it's like, whoa, how did I get here? What am I taking in? Like this is unfamiliar. Right. So amazing how reading something over and over each time it can bring something new.
Right, I agree with you.
Yeah,
totally. So they were defeated, and. Frodo actually falls off his horse, and he's collected there, and he is healed by Elrond in Rivendell, and it wasn't an easy task.
Nope.
Frodo wakes up. He has many meetings with his friends. There's a nice little dinner. There's some songs to be had, and we're preparing for the Council of Elrond.
That's right. Tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Right. So let's dive into this here and get into some of these juicy details. What did you have any major something, if you could think through the whole chapter, that really stood out to you? Something that was
kind of cool connections at the beginning.
Yeah, kind of. I'm thinking. Well, and I'm also just thinking like in general, when I think about the chapter, the influence that it had on me. I'm starting to think more along those lines.
Yeah.
As we go, because
So this chapter. Again, what it did for our members in this company, we're not going to call them fellowship yet, this party of travelers and adventurers and questers, what being in Rivendell did for them, it's done for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we're settling into this new rhythm or what, or maybe I think part of it was we've seen each other so much more regularly.
Yeah.
That I'm coming into this with a renewed energy. Even just starting a new book, I feel well rested.
Right.
I feel like some of the stress I've been carrying for months is kind of melting away. Mm-hmm. There's no shadow realm creeping in.
Right.
I feel restored.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because that sort of is, I guess that's my major takeaway. I mean, we're going to talk about so much. There's so much stuff that I was okay, wow, that's fascinating. Oh, that's a rabbit hole. This theme's back.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like Frodo. I still got a little pain in my shoulder, but not. I mean, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And that feels good. We're in a good place, and we're starting this book too. Another thing though that to me that we probably won't talk about a whole lot here in the chapter, that as I thought about in reflection, was the tie-in here, like this is one of the more significant tie-ins to The Hobbit.
It really, yes, it is.
And that for me, that was the
Great
book
point.
that started it all for me. And so I was just kind of like, man, they are really hammering at some of the heartstrings here, like bringing back these memories, from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what blew me away. And also makes you feel good because not like we always remember back to the Shire and it makes us feel good, and then to think back to The Hobbit feels good as well.
That's
you know
true,
what I mean,
man. That's a great point.
And that's why it feels so good.
It's almost like what we're doing with these characters.
Yeah.
But it's the stories.
Yeah.
You're meeting this story again. It's another many meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Great. That's beautiful, man.
All right. Let's see here. Where do we dive in here?
Well, we kind of dive in by waking up, don't we?
We do.
Frodo's a little out of it at first, right? Where am I? What time is it? And then we hear this voice, Ezra.
Yeah.
Whose voice do we hear loud and clear?
Gandalf.
That's right,
my friend.
That's right.
And I love it.
Can you read that in your best Gandalf voice,
dude? I'm terrible at Gandalf.
Come on.
No,
get deep and wizardly. I believe in you.
What is it? How does he sound like? Give me something.
Sort of deep and British like this.
Yes, he said, I'm here, and you're lucky to be here too, after all the absurd things you've done since you left home.
Good night and drive safe, guys. We're out of here.
Was that pretty
That's
good?
it, man. That's it.
I don't know. Something like that.
That was beautiful.
You put me on the spot.
No, I'm never doing an accent again because you just stole the show.
Okay, good.
That's great.
Good. But the word that I wanted to hone in on there was absurd. I love it because it comes full circle here.
Yeah, he comes back and he's like, what I said there, I didn't mean absurd. Because he's playing that wizardly role, but then it's almost like he thinks, I don't want him to feel like that, like I meant something negative by that.
Yeah, but
because he's done something really, really incredible.
He's also,
honestly.
Did you know that feeling where like they almost lost Frodo here? That's the big thing, right?
Yeah.
They almost lost Frodo.
Yep,
and I think, from Gandalf's point of view, he's got to be kicking himself a little bit. But then also believing that because he says at one point that maybe this was it's better that it happened that way.
Yeah.
But in the moment when they weren't sure if he was going to make it,
right?
I almost wonder if Gandalf means it was better because the ring made it versus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because he has a great task ahead of him in his attachment to the halflings, as they say, right?
And to this quest,
right?
Yeah. That doesn't Aragorn say that this might be his biggest time? Strider, as we knew him then only. Yeah,
right. So I think that's sort of why it's almost like
like
when you're in trouble and you scare your mom and dad or whatever.
Yeah.
Just by you did something that scared them
ridiculous.
And you're ridiculous. What are you doing? They yell at you, but really they're just so shook up.
Yep.
And
it's almost like a form of relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's great, man. Shut it down. We're done.
Okay. So he starts to inquire, right? And I think the big thing that I took away from this first part is, how difficult it was for Elrond to heal him.
Yeah.
And that he's not supposed to be talking to people. He needs to be resting. Up until just right before this chapter, the night before, a couple hours beforehand, is when they actually figure out what's really wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It was their skill to figure it, to find the shard.
And that's right. And Gandalf, honestly, I can't remember where he says this because we're just sucked right in here, man. But he says, like, I thought you were gone. Yes. I didn't have much hope.
Right.
I thought that we were going to lose you, Frodo.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And that's pretty. not only is it a shock that Gandalf's fine, he's back here, we're good, but to hear him speak that frankly. And we also see here too that Frodo instantaneously waking up from this has no recollection. He thought this was all a dream.
Right at first, yeah.
He was like, whoa, I'm waking up and I'm still back in the Shire, because he's in this homely place.
Right. And
then it all comes back to him, and he goes and he recounts all this, which is another perfect way to start the second book.
Yes.
Rehashing our journey from the shortcut to the old forest to Tom's house to the Barrow Downs and everything. And Gandalf has learned about his journey so far from hearing him talk in his sleep.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And it's so cool because we talked about this as we talked about how frightening the Barrow Downs were.
Dude, I know.
And Gandalf confirms it. He brings it back here and he says, am I getting too far ahead?
No, you're probably...
he says, you are beginning
perhaps,
to fade. He says, as you show... hold on a second.
Yeah, perhaps that was the most dangerous moment
there
of all.
There you go.
Yeah,
yes.
And then he talks about Weathertop. I wish you could have held out at Weathertop.
Yeah.
But just that quick line, and even the way, if you look at in the book how it's written, that was touch and go, perhaps the most dangerous moment of all.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really telling.
It's such a significant moment that we don't get in the films.
But he's talking about Frodo's will there and the power. This something in these hobbits is... It's beyond that. They don't quite understand it. And
if we go back, it's important to go back here too, because if we go back to that moment in the Barrow, Frodo was seriously considering just fading.
Yeah.
And then something awoke in him. Remember?
Yes. Yep.
Something awoke in him, and he had the strength to do what he had to do to survive and to save his friends.
Yeah.
So
100%, yep.
Yeah. Cool tie-ins though.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's good to get this kind of like recap.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, talking in his sleep. And then he comes back and says, though I said absurd just now, I did not mean it. I think well of you and of the others. It is no small feat to have come so far, and through such dangers, still bearing the ring. And then Frodo says something really, really significant, because we just had this huge saving moment by Glorfindel. Right. Really. And I think maybe as a reader, we're thinking, he's the man. He's got to lead this company forward.
Right.
But Frodo brings a very important point. He doesn't really mention Glorfindel.
No.
Also, he's kind of in the shadow world at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't realize exactly what Glorfindel was doing for him.
Right.
But he says, we should never have done it without Strider.
Yep.
We have, over and over in this chapter, we get this reinforcing of who Strider is, who Aragorn is, his worthiness, his leadership, his pivotal role in the fellowship that will be formed. And then he says, but we needed you. I did not know what to do without you.
Yeah.
And so this is where you're saying, Gandalf kind of feels, like
it's
there's some remorse here.
And we'll get to it in the next chapter with the council, but the things that Gandalf learns, like it basically they change the course of everything.
Yeah.
That between the Astari and what happens, and you can look at some of the histories as to what happens, the conversation between, we don't get it here, but I'm going to go ahead and fill in the blank. And we get it the next chapter too, but between Radagast, and he, and talking about what was needed in Saruman sending him and all that stuff. Like he learns a lot about what's going on. And then he also, think of the situation on Weathertop. Yeah. What would that have been like? Would they have attacked in full force there with a wizard?
Sure.
There, if Frodo would have been with him, could he have stood against them?
Right.
I mean, because they say that Strider and Glorfindel could not have stood against the nine united. They could not do that.
And especially on horseback, too. They said that they were mounted, and it would have been, The
only way that they could was to outpace them and to outmaneuver them in that way. But to stand toe-to-toe. Now, Glorfindel can. He's one of the few who can. Yeah. But not all nine together. Right. And I'm not even so sure how Gandalf would fare.
Well, then he must have had some encounter before, right? Because we saw that strike from a distance.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah. You remember when they saw that lightning coming down and stuff?
Yeah.
So I imagine that he has a go around there.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I read the next chapter, but I think he talks about that a little bit more. So, but anyways, he's happy that he's there. I mean, obviously he loves Frodo and he loves these hobbits and he's glad that he's made it.
We also learn an interesting point too, because they start talking about the Black Riders, right? And Frodo says, "Well, they're dead, right? They're gone."
Yeah.
Gandalf says, "No."
Nope.
Their horses have been killed. Interesting how he talks about the horses here too.
Yeah.
About how they're, because Frodo says, why could we see them?
Right.
But the others couldn't see what I saw from the riders. And he says, well, they're flesh and blood. They're beasts.
Right.
Turned against turned against us by the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how Tolkien always considers the animals. They had as much a role to play in this as anything.
He talks about the animals. He even goes on to mention the men and other creatures who are turned against
which
them.
we don't know at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some hints because obviously we encountered some ruffians in Bree. But Gandalf just kind of confirms this. He also talks about he wouldn't have sent Frodo had he known that the Black Riders were out. He would have left with him immediately.
Yes, I know.
So Gandalf, so in the same way, and this is a connection between he and Butterbur, right? Mm-hmm. Butterbur made a little blunder.
Sure. Maybe
more severe. I don't know. But Gandalf has his own blunders. And we're learning here, and Frodo too, we're learning here that you can have your mess ups, you can have your blunders. It's not whether you have mistakes, it's what you do to go forward.
Yeah. You've got me amped right now because I just thought of something else too.
Give it to me.
Think about
we're still within the first page and a half here.
I know. Good thing we got into this quick. So okay, think about this. Do you remember how the first book?
Yeah.
It was the Hobbits' ignorance, not ignorance. What's a better word for that? But they're not knowing of the dangers.
They were sheltered,
shielded. From the true nature of the evil that they were facing.
Yes.
Had they have known that, what would have happened? Right? I mean,
doesn't Frodo even say that?
Oh, he does.
There you go.
I would rather have not have known.
Yes.
And so it's probably what has helped him get this far.
Right.
Well, same thing. It's that not knowing, sent Gandalf on this path.
Yeah.
So there are things that are held from us. This is a lesson in life. Things that are unseen to us, that a force that whatever you may believe, I don't know, that is keeping this bit of information because if you knew it, it would change your decision making.
Ignorance makes you braver, doesn't it?
It's kind of, I don't know. I kind of saw that, right? I mean,
I totally agree with you.
Between Gandalf and Frodo and the Hobbits.
And in terms of just not ignorance, in terms of just not knowing the full extent of what you're up against. I think because if you do that, most people's reactions is to overthink, to second guess, to let that pressure influence every decision. So that wasn't there for them. Right. And I think all those mistakes would have been amplified even more.
Now, here's the thing, though. I still kind of believe in my heart that, they would have, because I love all these hobbits.
Absolutely.
I still think they would have tried their very best.
Yeah.
But I think fear could have overcome them.
Maybe they all four wouldn't have made it.
Right, or something like that. And they would have made different decisions if they start to then be very fear. If that fear was there, would they have trusted Strider like they did? Or would they have denied those conversations at the Prancing Pony and said, "No, we want to talk to anybody.
Right.
We're closing ourselves off from everybody."
Right.
What if they would have not went to the common?
What if they didn't even go to Bree?
Right. So you get into that's a rabbit hole we can get into.
Butterfly effect of what
the what if situation. But it's just interesting to think about.
It is. Yeah. All right. Back to the book.
Okay. Let's see. So. I just want to mention that this whole time Frodo is trying to get more and more out of Gandalf, and Gandalf is like,
Gandalf's like,
I'm not supposed to be,
I don't have permission from Elrond.
Right.
You're not supposed to be talking, let alone asking questions. And Frodo says, I won't get rest until I've had some of these things answered.
Yeah.
And he's true to that. We get some answers, and then he goes back to rest. Dude. He needs some, and it's amazing too how he's coming out of this. Let's not forget, for like 2 weeks he was slowly falling into shadow. His soul was slowly being turned into a wraith, into a servant. And then he also learns more about that, doesn't he? Are we getting into that too?
Yeah, we're getting into that. So,
yes.
So basically, when Frodo's sort of inquiring as to Gandalf wanting to know where he was, right? He said, well, we should have a council, and as soon as you're well, we'll get into all of that, right? And he's like, I'll only say that I was held captive.
Yeah.
Frodo's like, you? What?
Yeah.
Gandalf says, yes, I, Gandalf the Grey, right? There are many powers in the world, for good or for evil. Some are greater than I am.
Yeah.
Against some I have not yet been measured, but my time is coming. The Morgul Lord and his Black Riders have come forth. War is preparing. Dude, I mean, to me, like, there's certain points where you read and I get chills, right? And so I think when Strider's, when Aragorn's talking, you're kind of like,
This next portion about Aragorn, I have totally underlined.
I know you do,
yeah,
right?
Right.
So for me, I'm going to pause because I know you're about to go on a huge tangent.
Butterbur mode?
Yeah. Well, Gandalf he was one of those who, as I look more into the histories, was reluctant to go and was someone who was reluctant of the Astari to be sent and had to be persuaded.
Yeah.
Because he was afraid of Sauron in a sense and didn't know if he could help in any way.
Yeah.
And that sort of mentality, and that he is being tested. This is his trial.
Yeah.
And there are things that he needs to be tested against.
He does so much introspection. It's measuring himself.
Right. And it's interesting how much, and also something to remember is what the Astari can do and what they cannot do. What are they? What's their governing? Procedure. How much power can they obtain? Yeah. How much can they draw on? Yeah. And how much can they use?
Yeah.
So there's that whole piece to kind of consider. I just want to put that plug in there because we're going to be talking more about that because I believe they could have done more, but they're not meant to be the great. Because if they did, I mean, honestly, Lane, they would be the rulers. They would be ruling over. They would be the kings,
right?
And they'd be ruling with their power and their magic and stuff like that.
Their job is to help influence and oversee.
Right. Yes, that's right. So, okay.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. And then we get into the bit. Sorry, I jumped ahead. Butterbur mode about the knowing about the Black Riders. And then this is Aragorn, or this is Gandalf saying, "For the moment, we have been saved from disaster by Aragorn." Yes, said Frodo. It was Strider that saved us. Yet I was afraid of him at first. Sam never quite trusted him, I think. Not at any rate until we met Glorfindel. Yeah. So another positive thing about, because Sam trusts the elves, and elves trust Strider. So law of syllogism. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
A equals B, B equals C, so A equals C.
Seems like
math is worth something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we learned about that. Gandalf smiled. I've heard all about Sam, he said. He has no more doubts now. I am glad, said Frodo, for I have become very fond of Strider. Well, fond is not the right word. I mean, he is dear to me, though he is strange and grim at times. In fact, he reminds me often of you. I love that. Yeah. I love it. And then also, as we're digging all these histories, we're also preparing for the Amazon show.
Yeah.
And delving deeper into Aragorn's early life.
Yes.
Before he came into the story of the Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And the War of the Ring. And so that's an interesting thought because he had a relationship and friendship with Gandalf long before these stories. And so to hear how Aragorn reminds Frodo of Gandalf is a sign that of that friendship and of that influence and things that they had been through together. Pretty cool. So some history there.
It is that connection. The reason that I think he reminds him of it, right? I think we talked about Father's Day, right? I talk like my father. Yeah. I look like my father.
Yeah. Right.
I walk like him.
Yeah.
And so it's because of my proximity to him.
Yep.
And so that's pretty key.
Yeah, it is.
His proximity to Gandalf must be pretty significant.
Yes.
Right. So I don't know.
And then that's how that elevates him too.
Yes.
I mean the qualities he's gained from being around Gandalf for so long.
Absolutely.
It's just cool. It's an amazing relationship.
Right.
Especially because they both have the guise of these. They're unexpected too.
Yeah.
I mean, Gandalf looks like this just old crotchety man who couldn't do anything worth saving, and Strider's this ruffian.
Yeah.
You look at him and all that is gold does not glitter.
Yeah. Right.
So it comes back to that idea, which is a beautiful lesson.
Now you probably have some stuff here with the history of our good friend Strider.
Yeah, I mean it's just incredible because he's talking about he says that he thought most men were stupid like Butterbur, or kind and stupid like Butterbur, or stupid and wicked like Bill Ferny. I love how Gandalf sticks up for Barliman here. He says you don't know much about them if you think old Barliman is stupid. He is wise enough on his own ground. He thinks less than he talks and slower. Yet he can see through a brick wall in time, as they say in Bree. But there are few left in Middle Earth like Aragorn, son of Arathorn. The race of the kings from over the sea is nearly at an end. It may be that the War of the Ring will be their last adventure.
Yeah.
And so, so Frodo hasn't made that connection.
And their redemption.
Yeah. Dude, it's just so cool because we're building.
It has that potential.
Yes.
We
talked about fate or
free will.
Free will.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how they there's both. There's elements of both. That was a crying in the kitchen conversation we had before. But it's so cool too because we have Frodo says, I thought they had all vanished long ago, these kings. I thought he was only a ranger. Yeah. And Gandalf says, only a ranger? My dear Frodo, that is just what the rangers are. the last remnant in the north of the great people, the men of the west. They have helped me before, and I shall need their help in the days to come. For we have reached Rivendell, but the ring is not yet at rest. Wow. So we're getting some background here too, and we're also it's amazing how we when we're with Gandalf, we're always learning something new, and it's always through Frodo's questions and or his misconceptions, I guess. Right. So this is a nugget here. We're getting more backstory on who this Strider guy is, his importance, and then also where he comes from.
Right.
It's so cool.
You're right, actually, that we get more on Strider Aragorn in this chapter than I realized.
Yes.
Actually. And it's very subtle.
Yeah.
And
it's fitting too.
It's not with him present.
Right.
It's all sort of indirect.
Right. A lot about how, and it's similar in how at the beginning of book 1, how we were filled in with what had happened with Bilbo. Right. It's from other people. It's not direct. It's indirect conversations that are being held about that person.
That's the best type of characterization.
It is.
Everyone knows that.
It's natural. It's how it happens in real life, isn't it?
Exactly.
We talked about that.
We learn about people by what others say about them.
Yes.
And what they say themselves and all that good stuff. So okay, now I just to kind of summarize a little bit of this here. What, you got something else?
Lost something.
Oh, really? You'll find it.
It must not have been important.
No, it is. It'll come to you. I have faith.
About Aragorn.
I have faith. Oh, if it's about Aragorn, it'll come back to you.
Dude, I love him. And guys, can I just say something too? I mean, immediately when I saw the Fellowship of the Ring for the first time in that what was that? What was the movie theater called in Mount Vernon?
Premier
Theaters.
Yeah.
In those old spongy, before movie theater chairs were good, right? Back in 2001, I'll never forget it. And just seeing him for the first time and following Viggo Mortensen's character and his interpretation of Aragorn through that film. I mean, dude, I haven't looked back since. But it's been a long time since I've thought about Lord of the Rings in this way. Mm-hmm. Reading it, poring over it, thinking deeply on it. And I feel like here you go. I feel like I'm reconnecting with an old friend.
Yeah. I
feel like I'm meeting him again and remembering things that I had forgotten.
Right.
I was going to say it's fitting that we're learning so much about him in a place where his heart is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rivendell is an important place to him. It has an important place in his history as a person individually, and also we learn here that his love, which before was kind of ambiguous, we didn't know what he meant by that. My heart is in Rivendell.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're like, okay, well, he must love it, but we also learn there's another meaning here for his heart being in Rivendell.
Right. Yeah.
So it's fitting.
It is.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. I'm talking way too much.
No, that's what we want, man.
No, get me out.
No,
Throw me out.
This is good. So I'm just going to kind of summarize a little bit here.
Yes, please move us on. I'm sorry.
What sort of transpires between Frodo and Gandalf, right? They're talking about catching up. There's some loss of time. There's, basically a couple of days have been lost and what have you. So, wow. Okay, sorry, Lane is influencing.
That's like a news update. I'm sorry. Tammy Lane just commented on a post about the book.
Oh, really?
So that's pretty amazing.
That's radical.
We love you, Tammy.
We love you, Tammy. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, okay.
Butterbur mode.
Let's see. So he's improving, right? And he kind of goes into. He just catches him up on. You've been asleep for 4 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Elrond has cured you. He has tended you for days ever since you were brought in. Frodo's still kind of confused. Let's see.
He talks about the strength of hobbits.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
He says, and it seems that hobbits fade very reluctantly. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's going to get stabbed, in a way, it was good that it was Frodo. Really, right. If it had to happen, it was good that it happened to him. He said, I've known, this was very important, I thought. Mm-hmm. I have known strong warriors of the big people who would quickly have been overcome by that splinter, which you bore for 17 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And then Frodo says, what would they have done to me? And this next paragraph is like,
this is what you were looking for earlier, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Is it what they're trying to pierce his heart?
Yes.
Right.
Take us into that as.
And so by piercing his heart, though, I think that's where the shard was trying to
It was reaching
bury.
for it.
Yeah, it was reaching into his heart. Yeah. Once it gets there, if they would have succeeded, you would have become like they are, only weaker and under their command.
Yeah.
You would have become a wraith under the dominion of the Dark Lord, and he would have tormented you for trying to keep his ring. If any greater torment were possible than being robbed of it and seeing it on his hand. Now, we're going to talk about that later. because I have a huge something
yeah.
I want to get into between he and Bilbo. So do not let me forget that.
No, how could we forget about that?
No, it's gonna be huge.
It'll jump at us like a shark.
Yeah. Okay.
Reach for our heart.
And we mentioned this already. He talking about I didn't realize the horrible danger. It's a marvel that I escaped. Right. We talked about this as well. The garments that they wear and them being in wraith form versus he could see them, see through their garments and their horses and whatnot. He could see them as they were in that world, in their world. Right. Now he was at most danger when he put the ring on. Yep. Because they could have taken him in that world. Yep. That is something.
Isn't that amazing?
They could have taken him.
And how close he came to that on Weathertop.
Exactly.
How close he came.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a part in here as you skim through it and here we go. I want to jump to this part just because I don't want to miss it. Yeah. Let's see. They're talking about the powers in Rivendell. Remember last chapter we were talking about those who could ride against them, right?
Yep.
There lives some here in Rivendell, right? Of his talking about the Dark Lord, some of his chief foes live here in Rivendell, right? Yeah. Which I think is super awesome. They do not fear the ring wraiths, for those who have dwelt in the blessed realm live at once in both worlds. And against both the seen and the unseen, they have great power. Let me stop for a second.
Let's get into it.
And I don't know if you... Let me just reread that last part. Because I don't know if you heard me or not, but...
I need you to be a little louder.
I need you to... So, they do not fear the ring wraiths, for those who dwelt in the blessed realm lived at once in both worlds, and against both the seen and the unseen, they have great power.
Yeah.
So I like I remember
what would it feel like to live in both realms?
Well, see, that's why when he was fading into that realm, and we were talking about him looking back across the Bruinen, and he sees Glorfindel unleashed. Yeah. He sees him actually as the Black Riders would have seen him as well. That is why that image and that power radiating off of him is scary. Yeah. They are blessed. They have lived essentially among the Valar, right? Yeah. They've been there. Yeah. And they have a mission. They have a journey here, especially Glorfindel. Yep. And I just, I've been waiting for how many episodes to talk about these guys. So I just...
You've been shouting Glorfindel for the past 6 months. It's about time.
I know. So, okay. Yes, you saw. So he is asking about that. He goes, I thought I saw a white figure that shone and did not grow dim like the others. Yeah. Was that Glorfindel then? Yeah. Yes, you saw for a moment. You saw him for a moment as he is upon the other side.
Yeah.
One of the mighty of the firstborn.
Firstborn.
Right? He is an elf
Tom's
lord.
Son.
Yeah.
Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah. Easy. So he's an elf lord, of the House of Princes, right? Yeah. Indeed, there is a power in Rivendell to withstand the might of Mordor for a while. Yeah. Right? And elsewhere, other powers still dwell. There is power, too, of another kind in the Shire.
Yes.
Hold on, let me see. I don't know if you heard me again. There is power, too, of another kind in the Shire. Yep. Is anybody else?
It's amazing. I was on a run today. Mm-hmm. Never mind. You finish.
No, guys. I
was just on a run today, and I was thinking about how unique the Shire is in Middle Earth.
Yes.
Here it's like, we call Amanda the Shire of America, right? But there are lots of places that are like Amanda. Yeah. There are a lot of places in England that are like the Shire. You know what I mean? There are places all over the world that are like other places around the world. But the Shire in Middle Earth is so unique. Yeah. With the folk that live there, with the way it's set up. Even kind of with the countryside that is within the Shire. It's just amazing. I don't know. I was just thinking about how unique it is, and it ties right into this. It is unique among Middle Earth.
Yeah, it's closer to as you go west. There's a great power. Yeah, and it radiates. From that land, from that realm, and so I don't know. Like that to me, just it's huge. It is just huge. Yeah. The mission here. But anyways, he says something important though, but all such places will soon become islands under siege if things go on as they are going.
He's always pairing hope with reality. Right? He's saying, yes, these places are of great power to withstand this evil, but the longer this goes on, the more they'll be isolated.
Yeah.
And they might not stand.
Yep, agreed.
So the danger again is being reinforced of the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, let's move on a little bit because I'll come back to what do you got?
I'm sorry. There's one description I loved. I think it's funny that Tolkien decided to describe this. He says, still, this is Gandalf. He said, standing suddenly up and sticking out his chin, while his beard went stiff and straight like bristling wire. I can just envision that, right? He's like sticking his chin out. He's about to say something deep and poignant, and it's just, I don't know. I can just imagine Ian McKellen doing that, or your own created Gandalf in your head. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And he's encouraging him there. He's trying to stand up and show him we're good.
Yep.
Keep the hope.
Yeah.
You're in
Rivendell now. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he talks about his courage and things. Now, something interesting, right? He's trying to get him to go to sleep.
Right.
He's just trying to get him to go to sleep.
And we're just trying to move on in this chapter. We're a lot like Frodo, aren't we?
I know. It's great though.
I just want to stay here.
I know. And he says, just give me news of my friends and tell me the end of the affair at the ford, and I'll keep, or I'll keep on asking, and I shan't be, I'll be content for the present.
Yep.
After that, I'll have another sleep, whatnot.
Yeah.
Now, this I thought was different. This is interesting, right? Gandalf moved to his chair to the bedside and took a good look at Frodo. The color had come back to his face, and his eyes were clear and fully awake and aware. He was smiling, and there seemed to be little wrong with him. But to the wizard's eye, there was a faint change, just a hint, as it were, of transparency about him, and especially about the left hand that lay outside, upon the coverlet. Wow. So let's see.
So this is, to me, right? Are you finished? Keep going.
So here's what this is what was hard to understand, right? Is that we get some dialogue, and it's not dialogue out loud.
No, it's to himself.
It's to himself.
Yeah.
So you have to pay attention to that. So still, that must be expected, said Gandalf to himself. He is not half through yet, and to what he will come in the end, not even Elrond can foretell.
Yeah.
Not to evil, I think. He may become like a glass filled with a clear light for eyes to see that can. What in the world?
Yeah.
Please, if you're listening, hop on that thread and tell me what you think that means.
That is very interesting.
What is it that he could become?
See, and you know what? No idea on that. No. I mean, I could throw out ideas, but
I've got to,
So I know you do.
But I just want to hear what people have to say because it's.
Well, I want to hear what you have to say too. When he's talking about his the faint change he sees, especially on his left hand.
Yeah.
Right. We know that in full context is like Frodo's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
He's changed forever. Right. There's a part of him that will never come back to life.
Yeah.
There's a part of him that will always be. And I'm thinking like a glass filled with a clear light for eyes to see that can. There's a part of him that won't ever be in this world fully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me what you're thinking, man. I'm
gonna
drink part of your coffee here.
It's something that's he's becoming something that they don't quite understand. Is that not good? Sorry.
He's sort of in both worlds. Permanently.
Yeah, and it's something new. They've never seen a Hobbit in this situation, probably.
True.
There's more of that. There's more to it, but we'd have to jump to the very end of the series. And so and I'm okay with people doing it on the group and stuff and talking about it because I think it is significant. It's neat to see him, Tolkien talking about this right here.
On the foresight of Gandalf.
And also a writer, to think that far in advance.
He's nuts, dude. He was just nuts.
So anyways, so now out loud he says, "You look splendid."
Yeah.
You're good.
It's like that parent thing, right?
Right.
I see something changed in you, but you need to hear me tell you that mostly you do look all right. So I'm going to tell you look splendid.
Yeah. And we've already kind of covered what happens at the Bruin in there.
Yep.
At the ford. And he tells basically, that the riders, how they were overtaken and how, they were too swift to overtake. And this is where he mentions about Glorfindel and Aragorn not being able to withstand all of the 9 at once.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The touch that he added in the ford. So basically, Elrond calls forth the flood.
Yeah.
And Gandalf essentially is adding his own little touch to it, right?
Just like the fireworks.
Yeah.
He's an artist, man. That's the thing I love about Gandalf is he puts these twists and finishing touches on things that are worthy of stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
Incredible, man.
Yeah, so I think most of that, is pretty straightforward. Just it's a telling of the story, and we've talked a lot about that the writers are not destroyed.
Yep.
They're the Nazgul. They're the Nine. They've been released upon Middle Earth, and
Frodo's just he's talking about how thankful he is that these great lords like Elrond and Glorfindel and Aragorn have taken so much trouble to show him so much kindness and heal him and bring him back.
Yeah,
and that's where Gandalf says, you are a ring bearer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
exactly.
the heir of Bilbo, the ring finder.
Right.
So it's this growing legend, right? That will be told.
Yeah.
Forever.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's time for him to take a nap and really kind of, he's caught him up on everything. And
it's kind of interesting too, where we're coming to a place where Bilbo, we talk about later how he's writing his stories, right?
Yeah.
And how this is, and that right there, that line kind of, it sounds like a line from a story, and how Frodo's in the midst of writing his story.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes me think we need to write our own story. As it's time to make a podcast.
Do we need to write our own
story? I think it's time.
Oh, God.
I think that we need to come up with...
We need to start it soon.
Just the right name, though.
Yeah. We need to start it soon. Let's see. What do you got? You got a couple names? Is this... Oh, I got one for you.
Let me hear it.
Fortune or Fame podcast.
Wow.
Right?
Deep. Fortune or Fame. I like that. How about the Last Homely House podcast?
Yeah.
Show? Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be great.
Okay.
Glory and Trumpets podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a new expression. I like that one. Very good.
Right.
Very good.
Yeah.
Different as Peas and Apples podcast.
Yeah. Maybe
it doesn't
not.
sound right.
I'm not so sure about that one.
We're close.
Yeah.
We'll keep working on it.
I'm not so sure. The last Homely House was pretty good.
Okay.
Okay. Let's dive back in.
All right. Let's get back into it.
And now we're moving into, Frodo was now at the last Homely House, east of the sea.
Yep.
And it's this house that Bilbo had long ago reported. It's this perfect house. The weather, whether you like the food or sleep or storytelling or singing or just sitting and thinking, there's this pleasant mixture of all of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a cure for weariness, fear, and sadness. And so you just imagine it's a great place to meet people and to rest and to get your strength back. So
I thought that was cool. No matter what you're interested in, it's a place for you.
Right.
Very interesting.
So he wakes. So he took a nap.
Yep.
He slept, right?
Yep.
And when he wakes, there's going to be a feast. There's going to be some merrymaking,
some celebration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that they've accomplished that, has had some bumps along the way, but
right,
right.
So he gets into his garments, right, and he's
dressed in green, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. I kind of wonder if it's like, was it Goldberry's old garments? That she kind of like handed down to the
right.
I don't know. To Rivendell, passed along the river, maybe not.
They've got a real awesome seamstress there, just like measured him up at night.
Yeah, probably. He's laying.
Bilbo's there.
They might have taken his coffin measures and just kind of said, "Yeah, right." Maybe it's Bilbo's old garb.
It could be.
Maybe his PJs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And he notices that in the reflection, he's half who the Hobbit was.
Yeah, a little scary for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's kind of thinking, "Wow."
Right. But anyways, at that moment, right, Sam, we've been waiting to hear about our friends, right?
Yeah.
Sam comes in, and he runs in. He's looking at his master's hand. He feels warmth. It's a little awkward and he's shy, emotional, but wow, because can you imagine if you saw the likes of Gandalf and Elrond concerned that they couldn't do anything to save him? Mm-mm. He's a goner.
Your hope would be gone.
He's a goner,
no hope.
And
this is a cool part in the movie because there in the appendices they talk about the actors' relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think Sean Astin is the one who said that Ian McKellen was always walking around with a book.
Yeah.
And he said to him before this scene, he said, "Now make sure that you remember to grab Elijah's hand."
Yeah.
He said fans will be looking for that. And in this scene, you see him. He comes in, and it's different timing, obviously. This is all done at the same time. But Gandalf gets done talking to him. Sam runs in. Mr. Frodo, you're awake, comes in. Bless you. He holds his hand and strokes it. And it's the same kind of thing. Like it's just so cool how, you can say what you want about, the films changing things or making things different, but the spirit, man, that is a spirit thing.
Sure.
That is a relationship core thing of of Sam and Frodo that they brought from the book there, and it's an anchor that makes it feel genuine.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Actually.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's a neat connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they start to kind of talk about, what has been going on, and that, Sam's been there this whole time, and he's ready to show him the rest of the house.
Yeah.
And
Sam's going to do some leading now. So all these hobbits
Right.
have had turns to lead, and now Sam's been in Rivendell for a while, and there's all these corners and turns, and it's almost like this big long hobbit hole that one area leads to the next, and he's going to be able to help Frodo.
You never know what you'll find around a corner, right?
Yeah.
And elves, sir, elves here and elves there.
Yeah.
Some
like kings, terrible and splendid, and some as merry as children.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's see if we can get into where they lead these guys into. Oh no, actually, first we got to run into our other companions, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he leads them along the passageways, down many steps. Let's see. The air was warm, right? Which is
Felt
interesting.
like summer, didn't it?
Yeah, it feels like summer.
Yeah, we're towards the end of October, and there's this whole summer feel about Rivendell.
Right.
This summer
There
theme
is.
that we keep getting, like it's almost not affected by the outside world. It's this safe.
It's got its own type of weather, and climate.
Yeah.
The sound of running and falling water was loud. The evening was filled with a faint scent of trees and flowers, as if summer still lingered in Elrond's gardens.
So nice. That just sounds great.
Yeah. So, hooray! cried Pippin, springing up. Here is our noble cousin. Make way for Frodo, Lord of the Ring. Right?
Hush, said Gandalf. Actually, you got to do this Gandalf line with this voice now, man. Come on, evil. Go ahead.
Hush. Evil things. I don't know what I was saying earlier.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, evil things do not come into this valley. But all the same, we should not name them. I don't know. The Lord of the Ring is not Frodo, but the master of the Dark Tower of Mordor, whose power is again stretching out over the world. We're sitting in a fortress. Outside, it's getting dark.
Gandalf has been saying many cheerful things like that. Just hilarious, dude. Just his sarcasm and
he is pretty Debbie Downer there, right? It's like, hold on, we're trying to just hail our cousin here, who's a noble guy.
Gandalf's been nice and serious and
there
cheerful.
he goes again.
Dude, I can see Billy after talking to him yesterday.
Yeah,
I can see him saying this.
Me too.
It's amazing.
And Frodo, they all feel like singing. They feel like eating and drinking, right?
Yep. It's time It's time to do a little celebrating. We've been through some trials and tribulations here. So
right. So they're off. You're going to be cured. We're going to have our usual, more than a meal, a feast, said Mary.
Yeah.
As soon as Gandalf reported that you were recovered, the preparations began.
Yeah.
We're ready to go, right? So we're summoned to the hall, by the ringing of bells, right? So they're heading in to this hall. And I think this scene is just, it's epic, right? There's just so much going on here. You get to kind of look around. Yeah, they're probably just, they're just mesmerized by
atmosphere, right?
By the scene,
Yeah.
And it's filled with many, different folk, right? There are all sorts of guests.
Yep.
Elrond, as for his custom, sat in a great chair at the end of the long table, upon the dais. Next to him, on the one side, sat Glorfindel. So on the one side, I just have to go back to, again, it's why he took the road. He is who he is. He's amazing.
Yep.
And he's sitting next to him. And on the other side sat Gandalf. So right there's your powerful trio. I mean, that's something.
Yeah. And so, yes. Yeah. And actually, we get these three descriptions following. And it's almost like, so I don't know if it's because Frodo's in Rivendell. I don't know if it's because Frodo's filled with this new vision because he's been saved from the Shadow Realm or what, but he sees them in their full glory, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just amazing. They're beautiful to Can you care if I read them because they're worthy of being read. He said, for he'd never seen Elrond, of whom so many tales spoke, and as they sat upon the right hand and his left, Glorfindel and even Gandalf, whom he thought he knew so well, were revealed as lords of dignity and power.
Jeez.
Gandalf was shorter in stature than the other two, but his long white hair, his sweeping silver beard, and his broad shoulders made him look like some wise king of ancient legend. In his aged face, under great snowy brows, his dark eyes were set like coals that could leap suddenly into fire.
Can I just say something?
Get me, man.
Can I say something?
This is your man here.
No,
You're Astari. Sorry.
I'm just like, can you imagine? I mean, I honestly take a second and picture this in your mind. They're sitting at this table, and he walks in, and you've got this feel, this vibe, right?
Yeah.
These men, this wizard, these high elves, these elf lords, are so locked in. I mean, there is merrymaking, and we're having a good time, but the graveness and the almost like the regalness in which they're presented here is war's upon them.
Yeah.
And this is you can almost see it like behind the merrymaking face that they have, right? That facade that's going on right now. All of a sudden they're sitting a little straighter, right? At least Gandalf to me seems all of a sudden like in the eyes of a hobbit who saw him, they don't understand Gandalf. No. And they start to really see him for who and what he really is.
They're being revealed, aren't they?
There's a power there that's coming forward.
Yeah.
Because it needs to.
Yeah. And also I guess I didn't even think about this till right now. Think about what Gandalf himself has been through. We don't even know the full extent of it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he has become greater in legend. Oh, he has increased his power. Dude, he has faced trials.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? And so Frodo doesn't even know why. He doesn't even know why he's seeing him in this light. Yeah. Ezra's raising his hand.
I'm just feeling it right now.
And it's like this is part of it too. So I take back what I said. I guess it also could be it's all three. He's in Rivendell, which is a magical place. He's just survived a mortal wound.
Yeah.
And Gandalf has risen even higher. He's ascended since he's seen him last. Yeah.
Among that council, when you look at the histories a little bit more, right? He has elevated.
Yeah.
And because it is as a part of a reread, and so I'm sorry for some of you who this is maybe your first read, and we said at the onset that we were going to kind of treat this as a reread, with some of this context.
Yeah.
When I listen to that, when I read that, right, and I think about what he had just experienced, and the story that he will tell next chapter,
right,
really. When you look at that, you're like, he has ascended to the top of the order at this point. In his mind, he has got to stand against the mightiest among the Astari.
Yep.
And dude, I mean, he is ready, man. I mean,
Gandalf.
I mean, he is ready.
I know.
Am I wrong in that, right?
No. That's
he has left hardened, and I guarantee he is thinking a time will come.
And he's felt the sting of betrayal too.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that does something to you. If you've, I think all of us have had levels of betrayal in our lives, right? Or what we perceive as betrayal, whether it's perceived or real, it still feels the same. You know what I mean? And that does something to you. That changes you. That makes you more focused. That makes you more guarded. That makes you stronger. It really makes you stronger.
Yeah. Guys, I apologize. I am just so giddy right now. Like, I cannot express to you how much I love this chapter and how much I love these characters, man. Like, it just blows me away. And so, because the next one is...
Read the next one.
It's Glorfindel, right? Okay. Glorfindel was tall and straight. His hair was of shining gold. His face fair and young and fearless and full of joy. His eyes were bright and keen, and his voice like music. On his brow sat wisdom, and in his hand was strength. And in his hand was strength.
Good Lord.
I don't think sometimes that this is why I love the books, because you can stop for a moment, and we can sit here for just a moment.
Just like Frodo.
Right.
Sit there and just stare and marvel at this greatness.
Is that not the great piece? Like, you can pause a movie for sure.
Yep.
But I can just
we can live in this
right
moment
here.
Yep.
And I'm still looking down this table.
Yep.
And I see these great men preparing for the war to come.
Yeah.
And things this great battle.
And even just them being elevated by being together.
Yeah.
Like when you're with someone who, like when we get together, bro, I always feel like I'm a better version of myself. You know what I mean? And so it's this thing of...
It's the theme of this story.
It is.
This first two books.
Yeah, the strength that comes with fellowship, the way others make you a better version of who you are, make you greater.
Yeah.
And just the power that comes from that energy of people who want the same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
A good thing.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then we get into Elrond.
Yeah.
Right? We go to Elrond. So the face of Elrond was ageless, neither old nor young. What?
Yeah.
I mean, that alone, neither old nor young.
Yep.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Though in it was written the memory of many things, both glad and sorrowful. His heir. God, I'm like, I feel like Frodo. His hair was dark as the shadows of twilight, and upon it was set a circlet of silver. His eyes were gray as a clear evening, and in them was a light like the light of stars. Venerable he seemed as a king crowned with many winters, and yet hale as a tried warrior in the fullness of his strength. He was the Lord of Rivendell and mighty among both elves and men, which is very fitting because he is both elf and man.
Exactly.
I have this next, I can't remember what this next paragraph has, but I also have it kind of, whatever.
Sure.
Marked.
Yeah.
In the middle of the table, against the woven cloths upon the wall, there was a chair under a canopy, and there sat a lady, fair to look upon. Now I remember why. And so like was she in form of womanhood to Elrond that Frodo guessed, didn't even know, that she was one of his close kindred. Young she was, and yet not so. The braids of her dark hair were touched by no frost. Her white arms and clear face were flawless and smooth, and the light of stars was in her bright eyes, gray as a cloudless night. Yet queenly she looked, and thought and knowledge were in her glance, as of one who has known many things that the years bring. Above her brow, her head was covered with a cap of silver lace, netted with small gems, glittering white, but her soft gray raiment had no ornament save a girdle of leaves, wrought in silver. A sight to behold, man. A sight to behold. I mean, we're just like we're slammed in the face by beauty.
He saw someone who few mortals had ever seen. I mean, he's sitting in this presence, and it's unreal, right?
I mean, like he's experiencing individuals that none in the Shire even know exist.
Right.
The greatness of these individuals. Wow.
Yeah. She's the even star for her people.
She is.
She is, Luthien, reborn, essentially. I mean, she is. And she has that beauty and she has that presence about her. Yeah. And wow. Yeah. And so when you're reading this, and as a reread, we understand where it's going. Yeah. But right now, wow, that's cool. Who is she?
Right.
And then to find out the connection here at the end is great. Okay, keep going.
It's amazing.
Okay. Let's see. Yep. Oh, okay. This is neat. I thought this was neat, actually. Long had she been in the land of her mother's kin.
Yeah.
In Lorien, beyond the mountains.
That's right.
But lately she had returned to Rivendell, right, in her father's house. All right. So that's kind of neat to get a little history there and a little understanding.
And we learn about her brothers.
Yeah.
Too. Elladan and Elorhir were out upon errantry, for they rode often far afield with the rangers of the north, forgetting never their mother's torment in the den of the orcs. So just a little nugget.
Yeah.
Just a little nugget of the history of what happened to their mom.
Yeah, exactly. And that is why they spend so much time out and abroad with the rangers. Yeah. And that's also why you won't hear us mention Strider or Aragorn here at this feast.
Yep.
He's with them.
Yep.
He's
and a little nod to the past of their relationship as well.
Right.
Which is another aspect of young Aragorn's life. They're like brothers to him as well.
Yeah.
And then Frodo says, such loveliness in living thing Frodo had never seen before nor imagined in his mind.
Yeah. I know.
That's big.
Yep.
That's big time.
Okay. So, all right. Well, we took a long time for that part. So let's.
You want to move? We can move on a little bit here. That's no problem.
Let's get to Gloin.
Yeah. Another tie back
because
the Hobbit.
Exactly, and I think that's important, right? So as he's getting seated, and he's impressed because he's seated amongst these great individuals, you know. But next to Frodo on his right sat a dwarf of important appearance, and he finds out, the dwarf says, "Welcome and well met." Turning toward him, Gloin, at your service, he said and bowed. And Frodo, recognizes that name. And am I right in guessing the Gloin?
Yeah. And isn't it cool too? It's a tie back to how how they introduce themselves to Bilbo.
Yes.
At your service.
Yep.
You know, and then Frodo says something similar to what Bilbo said in The Hobbit.
Yep.
At your service and your families.
Yep.
Like, it's just cool. I mean, I don't know if that's a common thing or if that was like fate that he also, or if they knew. Right. It's just cool.
Yeah, it is. It is really neat.
Yeah.
And so Gawain kind of inquires. They both bow. They both greet, and he they make this connection over Bilbo and his journey. But Gawain, there hasn't been anything like this since Bilbo left. You four hobbits have got, I mean, just by leaving the Shire, and I think back to the power that's there, my friend, and them leaving. It's just something. It is the way it's set up is unreal. This is being talked about.
Yep.
Gawain,
marveled at.
Gawain understands that something significant is happening. When out of that place, that fair land, four have come.
And I love that you said it right there. I love that the word four is italicized. He's emphasizing that. He says, what brings four hobbits on so long a journey?
Right.
He's used to one tagging along. And here there are four
right.
who started off by themselves.
Yes.
No other companions.
Exactly. Fantastic. I know. Don't forget Fatty.
Oh, never forget Fatty or the sniffing.
You're right. Thank you.
Good. That's right.
But, in this, they want to kind of talk about what they can't talk about. So they just both table it.
It's interesting, isn't it? That's right.
They want to talk about what has brought Gawain here, and he really can't say. And what has brought Frodo here? Well, he really can't say.
Right.
So we're going to have a great council tomorrow.
Where things will be revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get a little nod here to Bjorn.
Yeah.
And Grimbjorn. So again, another tie back to, well, and we hear about the Bjornings. We hear about Dale. We hear what's going on. It's pretty much catching us up what's happened in the last, since the events of the Battle of the Five Armies.
It very quickly goes, even Bard the Bowman, right?
Yeah, the Bardings. Yeah.
Passing the rule on, to his sons and his son.
Yep.
He's a strong king, and in his realm now reaches far south and east.
That's so cool.
And basically orcs and whatever else, they don't traverse that land because they have so resisted it.
Yeah. So we might see that as another island.
Yeah, that might be another
where good things
exactly.
Are. Yep,
that could be another island where and again, now hold on a second, full circle here. What has Gandalf been working for this entire time? That he wanted those to be some strongholds.
And that was So the foresight of Gandalf again. That was the purpose of him helping Thorin. So while you might think maybe that Thorin he faltered and failed in a way. The quest of the company was...
We needed his family and his kin, to be king under the mountain.
Yep.
We need Dane to
reclaim
be there.
that.
Exactly.
Yep. It's like pieces on a chessboard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was interesting, too? Gawain mentions that they've lost an art. They can't make...
Yes, this was fascinating, wasn't it?
Right? They can't make the armor like their fathers before them. Now they had...
Which would have been an advantage for what's coming up.
Absolutely. But I can never pronounce it. What was it that Frodo?
Mithril.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. Well, I mean, not necessarily. Did they make that? Didn't they? Is that?
Yeah. They mined it and they were able to because that's where Frodo's vest or his chain or Bilbo's.
Bilbo gets exactly. Yep. Okay.
From Thorin, he was given. Yeah.
And so I thought of that anyways when I read this again, and I was thinking, wow, they really, but they had surpassed their fathers in that. They had brought the waterways, and the roads and the buildings,
metalwork and
the mining. They had become great miners, right?
Yeah. And builders. Yeah.
So it was kind of neat to get caught up on them, and you learn about the 10 companions who had survived the Battle of the Five Armies. 7 are still with us.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's they don't have news of the other 3.
Right.
Which. Or I guess their fate is unknown. You see a shadow pass over Glowin's face. He says, "We do not know what's become of Balin, Ori, and Owen."
Yeah.
Does it say here they're in Moria? No, but
it doesn't say that.
We know that's where it's going.
Yeah.
And that influences our journey later on too.
And he does kind of tip his hat here or his hand a little bit in that this is one of the reasons he's sent.
Yeah.
They haven't heard word and something dark has happened.
Yeah.
And they fear for the loss of their kin, and so,
but
they're older, They're much older
yes,
now.
they are.
And
Yes, they
so we'll see a new generation come here next chapter.
That's right.
But, so I love, though, that as they talk again a little bit more here, they talk about Frodo's fondness with Bilbo, and talk about how he would like to see him again in place of all these different things. Almost like he's stepping in for Bilbo here, and that he would like to go see all these great things. He's almost invited, by Gloin to come and take a look at the great things that wouldn't he wish that he could. I will come and see them if ever I can.
Yep.
Right. So.
And then he says something beautiful too. He says, I would rather see Bilbo, him, than all the towers and places and the palaces in the world.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how highly he holds up his uncle. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it here. We might have skipped past it because we're trying to get through some of this, but there's a lot to get through. I liked the idea that when he was talking he asked very politely, he said, dwarves can go on, go on and on and on. Just let me know if I'm, and he patiently listened. Hobbits are good listeners. Yep. They're good talkers, and that foreshadows
and that comes later.
A great conversation we're about to have. So.
And I love how Tolkien says, though, actually, he soon got rather lost among the strange names of people and places they had never heard of before. And I actually saw some foreshadowing of when we read into the Silmarillion and some of the deeper tales. I'm like, I'm probably going to feel like Frodo at times.
Absolutely.
I'm like, it's a lot of information. So it's nice to know that even Frodo feels that way at times.
Well, that's why we're doing a Hobbit's guide.
That's right, my friend. That's right. Tailor-made.
So let's see. Okay, so Gandalf, right, kind of leads him through, down the hall, and I think time for eating is over, right? The doors are thrown open. They went across a wide passage through to other doors and came into a further hall. In it were no tables, but a bright fire was burning in a great hearth between, the cavern pillars upon either side. So Frodo found himself walking with Gandalf. This is the Hall of Fire.
Hall of Fire. Which sounds kind of scary, but great place.
Well, it actually, one of the tiebacks to the history is the fire that was sent to Middle Earth, and this energy, right? And it's being, part of it it's symbolic, but that it's being harnessed and held here in Rivendell. So that they have a hall called the Hall of Fire, and that was something that was coveted by, all of the Valar and stuff. It was something that they couldn't get, but that was sent into, the world. But anyways.
and we learn that's a great tie, man. That this fire is always burning year round,
right?
But there's little other light, and then it's a place where you can always come and think and be at peace, and in thought,
right? Yes, yep.
Almost like an area of, I don't know. It's a place of refuge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So as they go in here, we note the absence of Aragorn at the feast, and we see someone sitting.
Yes.
Right. Cloaked.
I mean, and we're led to believe, right, that this is probably Strider over there.
Yeah,
this is kind of his hangout.
We saw the prancing pony.
Right. This is MO.
He's at it again.
Yeah.
In
a corner, looking, brooding.
Right. Yeah.
But we're surprised, aren't we?
Right. We're surprised, right? Here is a friend that you have long missed. Right. So Gandalf is leading him in here, right?
Yeah.
The dark figure raised its head and uncovered its face. Actually. Right before that, kind of funny, Elrond went forward and stood beside the silent figure. "Awake, little master," he said.
Yeah, so there we have a hint there. That's right.
Right. Now at last the hour has come that you have wished for, Frodo. So it's actually Elrond who's speaking. Here is a friend you have long missed. Mm-hmm. And, Bilbo. We cry out, Bilbo, and here it is. And, hello, Frodo, my lad, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's this awesome, connection that they have. Just getting back to one another. Hasn't seen him in a long time. Has been wanting to see him for years.
Yeah. Right.
So
as I have a question here.
Sure.
Okay. It's been dying to see him for years.
Yeah.
Right. He's been with him at his side or by his side most of the time. Right. He's just hasn't been awake.
Yeah.
They're having a big feast.
Yeah.
Everyone's invited. But he's in the Hall of Fire, deep in thought, in a corner.
Yeah.
By himself.
Okay.
Why?
Why is he in there?
Why wouldn't he be at the feast, celebrating Frodo,
right?
Connecting with him in that moment? Instead, he's in shadow and thought, and has to be woken up by Elrond? Is it because he's exhausted from tending to helping, being by Frodo's side this whole time?
And that's a good
Did
point.
He come here
because
for refuge?
It's not because he doesn't know Frodo's in there.
Right. No. It's
he knows Frodo's in there.
Right.
And he has been with Frodo this whole time.
Right. Is he resting up and recovering from that, or is he? Is there something deeper with?
Okay.
Is there some jealousy?
Yeah.
Is there some inner torment and turmoil with Frodo's possession? Something that he remembers, something that was his once, something that maybe he's secluding himself so that he's not tempted to. I don't know, man. It's just very interesting that this is how we come by. This is how we our many meeting with Bilbo is this way. It might be nothing. I might be reading too much into it, but I think it's very interesting.
Right.
That he's off secluded. Someone who, Rivendell is like a second home to him. That's my foot, babe.
Sorry.
You can rub it if you want. and his nephew whom he loves, whom he's saved, and given a home to all those years ago, and he's here.
Well, he says, I don't go in for such things much now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I had something else to do. I don't know. It's kind of a,
it's up for interpretation, is it not?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I would say.
I just think it's interesting. I'm like, man, interesting.
He was sitting and thinking, right? I do a lot of that nowadays, and it's the best place to do it. So, wake indeed, he said, cocky and eyed Elrond. And there was a bright twinkle in it, and had no sign of sleepiness that Frodo could see.
I was not asleep.
Right? He wasn't asleep.
Yeah.
He disturbed him. He was right in the middle of making a song. I was stuck over a line or two, right?
Yeah.
Elrond laughs. He's looking for his friend.
Yeah.
Right? And he calls him...
the Dunedain.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so that is a clue to us.
Yes.
Right? Who know a little bit of the history. It's not much, but know enough that this is a clue to somebody who we've already met.
Right.
But Frodo doesn't know that.
A man of many names.
Right, of many names, yeah.
Another barter mode, I just wanted to bring this up. Very interesting. Hobbits love food.
Yeah.
We didn't get any reaction as to what they ate. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I think...
There's no, the food was amazing. The Hobbits really enjoyed it. They had their fill. I don't think Elves put as much of an emphasis on food.
No.
Not to the extent of Hobbits, obviously. And so maybe, maybe it wasn't really food that they were digging or whatever. Maybe it was a little healthy. Maybe they were eating clean like us.
Yeah.
And the Hobbits were like, okay, it was fine.
Right.
I feel good, but I don't feel,
Yeah, it could be.
Isn't that interesting? It's just interesting. A lot of other times we hear mention of the food.
Right.
It's brought up exactly what they ate,
They
how
were
much
looking
they
forward to the feast. They said that, but
They were.
didn't really talk about.
Didn't talk about the food.
No, we just get
It was all
Frodo,
about the company.
Yeah, it's a dreamy place too.
Yeah,
where
true. True.
Bilbo says it's hard to stay awake until you get used to it.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Wasn't that interesting?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me of another place that we've been. Old House, Tom Bombadil.
Yeah. Yep. Good point.
Very
Good
interesting.
Point. So they decide to go, find his friend, right? And he's like, then the two of you, once we find him, you can go in a corner and you can finish your task. And he's like, we'll hear it and we'll judge it before we end our merrymaking. Right?
Yeah.
So they actually send out messengers to find Bilbo's friend. They take care of Bilbo. Bilbo means a lot. He's a significant guest.
A place of reverence.
Yeah. So once meanwhile they kind of sat side by side, and Sam comes in, right, and they're talking in soft voices, right. There's music going on in the hall. Bilbo had not much to say of himself. When he had left Hobbiton, he wandered off aimlessly along the road.
This is so interesting, isn't it?
Or in the country on either side. But somehow he had steered all the time towards Rivendell. Why is that?
Great question.
Right? I got here without much adventure, he said, and after a rest I went on with the dwarves to Dale, my last journey. I shan't travel again. Old Balin had gone away. I came back here, and basically he's been writing in his book. He's been making songs.
She sings occasionally?
Yeah. Time doesn't seem to pass here.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
It just is.
Just is.
A remarkable place altogether.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. I have this next part. Yeah, this is an important part. Care if I read this next paragraph?
Yes.
Okay, so I hear all kinds of news from all over the mountains and out of the south, but hardly anything from the Shire. I heard about the ring, of course. Gandalf has been here often. Not that he has told me a great deal. He has become closer than ever these few days. or these last few years. The Dunedain has told me more. Fancy that ring of mine causing such a disturbance. It is a pity that Gandalf did not find out more sooner. I could have brought the thing here myself long ago without so much trouble. I have thought several times of going back to Hobbiton for it, but I am getting old, and they would not let me. Gandalf and Elrond, I mean. They seemed to think that the enemy was looking high and low for me, and would make mincemeat of me if he caught me tottering about the wild.
Yeah. I think they would have, and I think that's, now, I look at his motivation sometimes, and I honestly, I think a part of it, there's a longing for it, But can I ask you something? So the torment that Frodo would have had to endure, had Sauron got the ring and have it taken from him.
Yeah.
So Gollum was tormented.
Yes, he was.
To see that ring with someone else.
Yeah.
Frodo, he says, would be tormented if it was taken from him.
Yeah.
Bilbo gave it up. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they said in the beginning that may have made all the difference.
That's very, very true.
Is that he gave it up willingly. And I think there's great strength in this line, and I think there's great strength in Bilbo.
It's a great point.
In his family.
I honestly, that's something that I had overlooked in this passage.
Well, I just think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's something small, but it was like Gandalf emphasizes. At one point, we talked about it in the podcast.
We did.
That may have made all the difference.
All the difference in
right
the world.
there. That he gave it up of his own.
Man, that changes my lens.
Well, you can still go down whatever route you want.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, and he says, the ring is passed on, Bilbo. It would do no good to you or to others if you tried to meddle with it again.
Yeah.
So I do think there's still a longing.
There is still a longing. And look
there.
again who it is helping him get rid of that longing or put down that longing. It's Gandalf.
Yeah.
He did give it up, but it wasn't without a lot of help.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was from that wizard right there,
exactly.
Speaking wisdom to him, keeping him accountable, saying,
his influence.
You still have it, leave it, man.
Yes. Yep.
Right. You
Absolutely.
can't trick me, I'm a wizard. And him here again, he has this longing for it again. Even saying, I would have come back and brought it here, no problem. Which I believe is sincerity. But there's also another will working through that.
Yeah.
Right? There's another will of, get it back to Bilbo. He's an old hobbit. We'd hunt him down. We'd get him.
Yeah. And so we're going to take just a minute here to kind of talk about this next part because I think it's interesting. It ties into what you're saying. Bilbo's inquiring about the ring. He wants to see it again. He's like, I've got it. It looks just the same as it ever did.
Right.
Well, I should just like to see it, just, for a moment.
It is interesting. Right before that too, it says Frodo answered, feeling a strange reluctance.
Yes. Strange reluctance, right?
Yeah.
That's why he instead of just pulling it out, he says, it looks just the same as it ever did.
And he's definitely more guarded of it because of what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? He's like, sure. I don't want to get it out again, no matter what.
Right. He doesn't really want to deal with it.
No.
That makes sense too. So if he finds out that when he's dressing, he recalls that he has the ring, right?
Mm-hmm. New chain around his neck. Yep.
Yeah. Bilbo put out his hand. So slowly he drew it out. Bilbo put out his hand, but Frodo quickly drew back the ring. To his distress and amazement, he found that he was no longer looking at Bilbo. A shadow seemed to have fallen between them, and through it he found himself eyeing a little wrinkled creature with a hungry face and a bony, groping hands. He felt a desire to strike him. This uncle that he loves so much, Frodo felt a desire to strike him.
Yeah.
Now,
let's get into this, baby.
I talked to Lane about this, and I do want to know what everyone thinks. And I, as a part of the thread, take it for what it is. We
want to start conversation, don't we?
We want to start conversation, but we also, please remember, as being in the book club, right? It's positivity. We want to, if somebody makes a good point, or if it's completely off the mark or whatever, just be kind to one another. And these things are open up for interpretation at some point, and they did that in the film. In my opinion, I think they showed the shadow falling on Bilbo, and it showed him. His face gets darker. He gets enraged, and he like lashes out at Frodo for a second, right? Yeah. The way I read this is that the shadow fell on Frodo, and that he was the one who. So from his point of view, he looked through, and what he saw. Now, what everyone else saw might have just been normal Bilbo just looking to see the ring.
Yeah.
But what Frodo saw was not just old Bilbo. He saw something different. He, all of a sudden, this uncle that he loved was someone who was holding his hand out for the ring, and he wanted to strike him.
Yeah.
And I think they just did it differently. They took it a different direction. And I always kind of, go back to The Hobbit and Bilbo's strength and stuff like that. And oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot to read this part. Okay, the music and the singing around them seemed to falter, and a silence fell. Bilbo looked quickly at Frodo's face and passed his hand across his eyes. I understand now, he said. Put it away. I'm sorry. Sorry you have come in for this burden. Sorry about everything. Don't adventures ever have an end? I suppose not. Someone else always has to carry on the story. Well, it can't be helped. I wonder if it's any good trying to finish my book. But let's worry about it now. Let's have some real news. Tell me about the Shire.
Okay.
So back up there a little bit, and what do you got? What are your thoughts?
Well, and you made a couple good points. Okay, you said they're, being off the mark. This is a huge mark. And I think no matter where you throw your axe, no matter where you shoot your arrow, you're on, man. This is cool. This is amazing.
Yeah, you can go a lot of different ways.
Absolutely, you can. And I'm about to go in a very weird way.
Okay.
And it's just in my own mind, right? We always talk about imagining things.
Yeah.
And using our imagination and our point of view and just going crazy. Sure. It's okay to go crazy. These books encourage it. It's fantasy, for crying out loud. You also said something really crap. What did you say, man? There's something else that you said that was
the shadow falling on Frodo.
Yeah, but it was something else. I can't remember. Again, here you go. Butterbur. One thing drives out another.
No, you're fine.
So what I see here is this, and really, I'm glad you read that second part because that reaffirmed, and it kind of bolsters up what I envision. Right, It has nothing to do with the movies.
Yeah,
it has to do with what we're reading right now.
Sure,
the shadows seem to a shadow seemed to have fallen between them, and through it, he found himself eyeing a wrinkled. So what I see is this passing of great burden, even though the ring has been a huge burden for Frodo.
Yeah.
This great burden of being consumed.
Yeah.
Which Bilbo has had.
Yes.
And does he still carry it on? Yes, he does. But it's almost like this possession. Because we haven't seen Frodo this reluctant yet. We haven't seen him this attached to it. I think it has to do with the Morgul blade stab.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with what he's been through. I think it has to do with this sense of what he's going to where he's going into.
Right.
And it's built, and Bilbo is kind of seeing like that this is moving away from him. This is no longer his. And it's almost like this possession of the shadow goes from Bilbo and passes into Frodo.
Yeah.
And maybe what he sees is his uncle this way.
Yeah.
But really what he's seeing is this coming into him, and that's what he will become. That's what he has the potential to become. This obsession, this addiction to the ring is now
and he's just been
into
told,
him.
He's just been told that by Gandalf.
Yes.
He, just earlier in this chapter.
Yes.
So I can see that, and also I almost wonder the shadow passing between them.
Yeah. Is it their relationship is fractured in some way?
Or also just the idea that this is two ring bearers coming together.
There you go.
And so there's a lot of something going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever you may think it is. But I think each of them, that shadow, that veil, whatever it is that's between them, both could be perceiving something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be perceiving things different ways, and maybe we only get like Frodo's. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Like I don't know.
And both have also worn the ring.
Yeah.
Which transports you to a shadow world.
Yes. They've been there. Yeah.
Dude, it's so interesting.
It's something to think about.
It is so cool to break down.
Yeah. So, I'd love to hear what people have thoughts on that. Just what you're thinking as you go back and look at it.
I love this moment in the movie, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do
love
too.
Love it. And the way that Bilbo just kind of breaks down, and he has this a moment of just, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. It's my fault, that you have to carry this now.
Yeah. He wishes it would have never come to any of them.
Right. Of course.
Wishes none of this would have ever happened.
Yep.
So, anyways, now it's time to move on, though. So, Bilbo's
shadow
back
passes.
He's back to smiling and laughing and and suddenly, Strider comes back in, right? And they had this back and forth, like, Strider, what?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah.
and that's what they call him in Bree, right? So, let's see. But he was talking about where he was, right? And he was with Arwen's brothers, right?
Can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
Like pause the whole thing?
Yeah.
And come back to it. There's a bat in the bedroom.
Go.
You want to help me get it out?
Go.
You want to help me get it out? Are you afraid of bats?
Guys, there's a bat upstairs. A couple bats in the bedroom. We'll be right back. It's so.
I like how you're like, we're fine. We're just gonna.
What do I do here? So guys, sorry about that. Everything just got kind of derailed. Goldberry was attacked by a bat.
Yeah.
Lane saved the day. I was a member of his fellowship. I was there.
You gave me strength. You were my Glorfindel.
Glorfindel. I was guiding the way. This bat was attacking Sarah up in the room.
Yeah.
And so, like, Lane went up there and took a shirt. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a little worried. I felt a little pricking, so I think it tried to bite my hand, and I'm kind of worried I have rabies. It's incurable.
Okay. All right. We won't. Sorry.
But I guess Frodo was foaming at the mouth after the Morgul blade, so maybe it's the same thing.
Right.
They are my Black Riders.
So sorry about that, guys. You could not have. I didn't know what was happening. Lane was like, I gotta go. I was like, oh no.
And as a gracious friend who said, that's fine, man. We'll just pause it and we'll pick up. So here we are.
Yeah, we're good. So
we're fine.
Let's sorry about that, guys. Let's dive back in here. Try to finish this out. See what we got left in us.
Great Shadow had just passed.
Yeah.
Also very fitting for what just happened.
Right. Yeah.
So
exactly.
We're feeling better now.
Right. But no, we were building up to Strider's back. We had a man of many names.
Yep.
And they have this back and forth, and they're talking about, Strider kind of wants Bilbo to, I got you. Come on over to the corner. I'll help you finish your song. It was so neat. You could tell that they had a good relationship.
Yeah, they've been friends.
They were friends.
Which is something that's lost in the films.
Exactly.
We don't get that at
all. They
all.
are good friends, probably for years.
Yes.
Years.
Yeah.
And Frodo just meets him, is fond of him.
Yep.
And
so this also gives, I would think this would give Strider, if there was any doubt, well, there's no doubt left at all, but just bonus points. Like, he's an old friend of Bilbo.
Yeah.
We love Bilbo. Boom.
Right.
He's the man.
Well, and then, the fact that he's close with Bilbo too. I mean, he's going to be close with Frodo too. He'll care about him.
And we get this explanation of why Bilbo has been calling him the Dunedain.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And Frodo says, "Why do you call him Dunedain?" And Bilbo responds with, "The Dunedain."
Right.
He is often called that here. But I thought you knew enough Elvish at least to know Dun Adan, Man of the West, Númenorian. Mm-hmm. But this is not the time for lessons. He turned to Strider, "Where have you been, my friend?" And that's where they go off. And,
right.
Lady Arwen's here, he says, or was here at the feast. You missed out, bud.
Right.
So we get a little hint there that, okay, there's something between Arwen and this Aragorn guy.
Right, yeah, right. Yeah, so they take off, right? Frodo's left to himself, and he kind of falls asleep here.
This is bizarre, isn't it?
Yes, Sam has already fallen asleep. And
did he really?
Did he?
Did he?
Good question.
You can't trust him.
Back with Gildor, he didn't. That's for sure. There's
never forget the sleeping.
Never forget the sleeping, or the lack thereof. And there's all this. It's beautiful melodies. They're interwoven words in the Elven tongue. Even though he understood them a little, sort of held him in like this spell-like state, right? As he's in and out of sleep.
Yeah.
And he's
it washes over him like a swelling gold river is what he feels like.
Right.
Yeah. It takes him.
So anyway, so he goes into this sleep, right? He wandered into this long dream of music that turned into running water, and then suddenly into a voice, and it seemed to be the voice of Bilbo chanting verses. And this is a lot. But I think Lane, you've done a little bit of research on this. And
well, full disclosure, I read it on the toilet.
Okay, cool.
So, and I was just
best place to think.
It can be. I think Bilbo has done his fair share. On the pot. And anyway, it was just I was digging it, man. I was grooving to it. There's some amazing some consonants that goes on. There's some just some rhythm. It's beautifully written. And it's all about Elrond. Okay, so Elrond is the patriarch of Númenóreans, and he's actually Elrond's dad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
He's the father of also Elros, who is Elrond's twin brother, and Elros chose to live as a man, and he's actually the first king of Númenor.
Yeah.
So this song Bilbo's singing has a link to both Elrond, but it also has a link to our very own Aragorn.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just kind of cool. It's some more history, and it's just beautifully written. Elrond was a mariner that tarried in Arvernian. He built a boat of timber felled in Nimbrathel to journey in. Her sails he wove of silver fair, of silver were her lanterns made. Her prow was fashioned like a swan, and light upon her banners laid. In Penelope of ancient kings, in chained rings he armored him. His shining shield was scored with runes to ward all toward and harm from him. To ward all wounds and harm from him. Sorry. His bow was made of dragon horn. His arrows shorn of ebony. His bow. Oh my gosh, dude! You know what? Forget it. I'm messing it up here.
Oh no, you're fine.
It's the adrenaline from the bats, guys.
Yeah. You don't have to read the whole thing. I think you know.
Okay. We'll skip ahead to the end.
Just to the pieces that you kind of like. You know, I can give everybody a quick description too because
the Silmarils are in it, man.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
So he does kind of. It sets up who he is, right? Describes his coming and goings to Valinor, right? It talks about his wife, and like you said, it's got the Silmaril bound. It's got the jewel there. So there's just a lot of different histories about his comings, his origins, and who he is, and how he built this ship, and how he left Valinor, and he passed over Middle Earth and became a star. Is that at the
Elrond is the greatest star, the elves say. Yeah. But it's beautiful. Beautifully written. One of my favorite. Can I read one of my favorite lines? I was on the toilet and I was reading it. Like my pronunciations were good. My rhythm was there. I know it sounds like a fishtail, but it really was.
It's okay.
By paths that seldom mortal goes, his boat it bore with biting breath, as might of death across the gray and long forsaken seas, distressed from east to west, he passed away. It's just like beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful. A lot of depth, a lot of meaning, a lot of background there. So you could dig into that and get lost for years.
Well, and we're going to cover some of this in our Histories of the Middle Earth,
right.
in that series that we do, because he is a pretty big deal in the First Age, and is I think he's considered one of the first of the firstborn to reach Amun, right? And to get so I don't know. There's just different pieces that we're going to have to pull apart.
Dig into.
Yeah. Later on. So
yep.
Okay. Let's see.
An elf wants an encore.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Which Bilbo says doesn't happen very often, and he has this challenge. He's like, who wrote which parts?
Right. Yeah. There's the trick to it.
Yeah. Me or Aragorn or the Dunedain. And it's just hilarious, this little dialogue. It is not easy for us to tell the difference between two mortals, said the elf. Nonsense, Linder, snorted Bilbo. If you can't distinguish between a man and a hobbit, your judgment is poorer than I imagined. They're as different as peas and apples. Maybe to sheep, other sheep no doubt appear different, laughed Linder. Or to shepherds. But mortals have not been our study. We have other business. I won't argue with you, said Bilbo. I am sleepy after so much music and singing. I'll leave you to your guess if you want to. Yeah. Says I often don't get a second hearing, and he said that to Frodo, and
yeah, it's a good little bit.
And who wrote it? Ez?
Huh?
Who wrote it?
The whole thing?
Yeah,
Bilbo.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the trick.
Except for one part. There was one part that Aragorn insisted on putting in, and it's about a green stone. Yeah. And this is the elf stone. Okay. And the elf stone is something that we talked about, something that like they really missed out on, because Panamu and New Zealand jade is a naturally green stone from New Zealand. It's something like kiwi that they could have, or actually Maori, that they could have worked into the film. It's the stone of Elrond. And it's passed on to Aragorn. It's passed on to the LOTR.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
So that's why he wants that little tidbit.
He wants it mentioned.
Put in there.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's funny too that he thinks, it's if he's got the cheek, if Bilbo's got the cheek to try and write his own tale of Arendelle, right? I mean, and how, because he's such a revered,
that's true,
figure, right? In their lore and their history and their coming to be, and the war against Morgoth and things like that. It's such a big deal.
Yep.
That if you've got the cheek to go ahead and write, he was kind of, I think, blown away but that's what hobbits don't get. Like he likes the story and he wants to tell it in his own way.
Yep.
And stuff, and he's not trying to do any in that simplicity. He's not, and it's actually not simple at all.
No,
it's a very well written.
It makes you think that the Dunedain wrote all of it.
Yes,
or at least large parts of it.
Right. But he's
kind of showing off too, isn't he?
He is showing off his skill a little bit.
That's his part of his personality too. He's a proud of his knowledge and his wit and genius.
Yeah. So anyways, so there's a neat bit there. We'll dive into that more later when we've got the energy after the bad attack here.
Oh my gosh.
So what else goes on here? There's more merrymaking going on. This is where they talk about being difficult to keep awake until you get used to it, Bilbo said. Not that hobbits would ever acquire, quite the elvish appetite for music and poetry and tales. They seem to like them as much as food or more. They'll be going on for quite a long time. What do you say we slip off for some more quiet talk?
Yeah.
And can we? said Frodo. Right? Of course, this merrymaking is not business. Come and go as you like. As long as you don't make a noise.
Yeah. There are some towns I've passed through where I felt like that.
Well, and it's also kind of like, I wonder. These hobbits can sneak away.
That's true. That's right.
I think that's what they're trying to do is to sneak off here. So,
that's a good point.
But neat here, a little scene as they take off and they're leaving. In spite of the delight of Bilbo's company, Frodo felt a tug of regret as they passed out of the Hall of Fire. Even as they stepped to the threshold, a single clear voice rose in song. Yeah. So good, isn't it?
I mean, I just want to. I'm with Frodo, just stopping.
Yeah, they take this song up.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I know.
Isn't it awesome?
It's so cool.
So in the movies, we get this with Gildor's group of elves,
right?
Moving through, and they see it in passing. They're going to the Grey Havens. They're leaving Middle Earth forever. But this song happens in Rivendell, and it's about
the Hall of Fire,
yep.
and it makes a lot of sense, right? Yep. And they've been telling histories already. Bilbo's got them started here,
and Frodo used this name on Weathertop. He doesn't even know necessarily where it came from.
Exactly.
Ielbereth, Gathoniel, boom, and we've learned that Elbereth is the wife of Manwë, and she's the Lady of the Stars. Yeah. So again, we're in Rivendell, and it's all about the stars.
Yeah. Yep.
From Arendelle to Elbereth.
Yeah.
And even later, as we see where we're about to go now, Frodo and Bilbo looking up at the stars.
Yeah.
Just
stargazing. There's like obsession with it, and
with all things ethereal and heavenly.
And it makes sense. And again, I keep saying, the more that we learn about these histories, and the lamps and the trees and the lights that were, in the first age and before it, it's very interesting to kind of take a look at that. So
and I guess the fire, even in the Hall of Fire, is another allusion to that, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it is
so rich. It's so rich, man.
Yeah. So
and then we get another one. We get another allusion to a star.
Yeah.
This next portion here, where Frodo halted for a moment. Is this what you're getting into?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No, I forgot. I forgot about this little bit here.
I love this part.
He halts and sees Lady Arwen. As he's looking back, right? And
one last
look there, right? And there's a neat little, Aragorn. He's standing there beside her, right? His dark cloak was thrown back. He seemed to be clad in elven mail, and a star shone on his breast. Yeah.
Which we know is the Even Star. It's her jewel that she passes to Aragorn,
right?
As a representation of her love and her
life she's chosen.
That's right.
Yeah.
A mortal life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're speaking together, right? And then suddenly it seemed to Frodo that Arwen turned towards him. The light of her eyes fell on him from afar. You know, one thing, they do a good job of this in the film, more so than they do here, is her. Well, maybe it is later. I take that back. They talk about later in the book. I'm so sorry. It's another book, but her foresight, her powers.
Yeah.
You know, the gifts that she has.
Yeah.
She is I mean, you know,
she's nothing to be trifled with.
No.
Right.
And so
no one to be trifled with.
Right. The things that she sees later on, her I don't know, she's radiant, and she's blessed, and she's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's more to her than what we get right here. I'll just say that.
Yes.
A lot more.
Yep.
So he's enchanted, right? You know, this song, right? He's like, and Bilbo kind of says, they'll sing that and other songs of the Blessed Realm many times tonight. Come on.
Isn't it funny too? The light of her eyes fell on him from afar and pierced his heart.
Yeah.
We open this chapter learning that Morgul blade was intended, pure evil was intended to pierce his heart, and now he is looking, you know, catching this glance of pure beauty.
Yeah.
That pierces his heart.
Absolutely.
It's just flips it on its head. It's amazing.
Yeah. So now it's time for them to go out to the garden, right? And you know, and basically, they looked south across the Bruinen. They're kind of gazing up at the stars, as you said, right?
Feels like a summer night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and they're talking, and basically, this is where I think it's a nice way to close this.
It is.
Two hobbits talking.
Yep.
Get outside of all this stuff that is names that are hard, you know, ancient histories, things that are so serious, and everything, and just bring it back down for a calm, good bit of conversation. And Bilbo gets carried away in the tales of the youngest hobbits and their pranks, you know, and the things that are going on back in the Shire.
Yep.
And he just
something he's longed for that he hasn't had.
Oh, I bet you this meant so much to him.
Yeah.
You know, just to be reunited with his nephew and someone he loved and passed everything on to.
Yep.
You know, and to know that he's here.
Yeah.
What are the odds? Did Bilbo ever think that would happen?
Well, because he didn't even know he was heading that direction in the first place.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's such a unexpected,
there you go,
you know, meeting and even journey in and of itself, and it's all a big tie back. But this conversation, it just makes you feel good, doesn't it?
It really
just
does.
Just a couple hobbits sitting down.
It really does.
Having a conversation.
Like you said, again, it's you know, like we talked about in other portions. We're you know, the last few paragraphs of this chapter, but you just want to stop here, like those descriptions with those the big three at the table. You just want to pause this and just kind of linger here. Yeah, because it just feels so nice, and we know that these nice feeling moments are far and few between, right? Especially now that we're getting ready to plunge into this journey, or we're getting ready to go into a council where no one really knows exactly what it's about. You know, people are there for different reasons. Things are known in part right now; they're not known fully. So yeah.
Well, and they get caught up in it's more now moved from just those conversations in the Shire, right? Yeah. To a shared situation. Yeah. Right? A shared journeys and things and like doing things that hobbits never thought. Like no one else. I mean, Merry, Pippin, and Sam are coming close with these journeys. Yeah. You know, it's just like kind of this last. I love that there's not much said. Yeah. That they don't tell us much about what was talked about. Can you speculate for a second what was passed on to Frodo? Yep. Well, I know it says, like, all it really says is that they spoke no more on the small news of the Shire far away, nor of the dark shadows and the perils that encompassed them, but of the fair things they had seen in the world together, of the elves, the stars, of trees, and the gentle fall of the bright year in the woods. Yeah. So they're just kind of do you know what I'm saying?
I absolutely know.
It's different. We're not catching up on anything. Nope. It's those nights where you and I sit out here by the fire.
It's deep level stuff.
Deep. You know, what does it all mean? Why are we all here? Yeah. Where are we going? Yeah. You know,
marveling at the beauty. Just marveling at the beauty. Look at those stars.
Often when I leave here, we'll stand out in the road and look up because I can see all the stars.
You can see the night sky so clearly.
You know, and it's like. I don't
maybe
know.
we are more drawn to elves than, or maybe me, because I've always said they kind of freak me out. Mm-hmm. Maybe I am more drawn to them than I realized.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at the stars. Yep.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, and it's just, and the Hobbits do too. It's just in a different way.
That's true.
It's a way in which is, I think, I don't know if it's almost like a more innocent, pure, just
a different kind of respect and reverence.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you gotta have room for that, and that's what makes them special. So, and you almost, like you said, you almost don't want to leave.
No, I like this. The crickets are chirping. We're looking at the stars.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that going for a little bit.
It's a nice dewy night. Yeah.
But at last there came a knock on the door.
Yep.
Begging your pardon. Sam put his head in. I was just wondering if you were wanting anything. Yeah, that's not what he was. Bilbo knows.
Right.
You've been sent. And he says, "I'm begging yours, Sam Gamgee. I guess you mean it's time for your master, to go to bed."
Yeah.
But he said, "Well, sir, there is a council early tomorrow. I hear, and he only just got up today for the first time. So Sam cares. He
always looking after his master.
Yeah, don't forget, we've got to get some sleep. We've got stuff, to go over.
Yeah.
And what have you. So, so they say their farewells. Time for bed.
Yep.
Time for night.
That's right.
So
sleep well.
Yeah, sleep well.
Man, what a good chapter, dude.
It was a good chapter. I know. And again, we do apologize for the interruption. It's
not planned.
Had to
unexpected.
Unexpected. Had to go on a little adventure there, but that's okay. It is what it is. And so we went over the cool connections. I think we've really dove into those already. So
we did.
Let's see here. We got to save some room for about 10 minutes too of our. So we'll just kind of jump right into Bywater Post.
Let's
That's
do
cool.
Get another post.
All right, so we have we got a decent Bywater Post.
And here's the other thing too, guys. I think you're catching up. Those who started from the beginning and are catching up, we're starting to get more of your Bywater Posts, and in your Tolkien stories in our Gmail.
Yeah,
which is perfect. So again, if you've posted it somewhere and we haven't read it, please either rewrite it or copy and paste it and just email it to an unexpected pod. Is that right? An unexpected pod.
An unexpected pod at
gmail.com.
Yeah.
So that we can have it in one place and we're going to go through it one at a time. Yeah. And that way we can get it together.
Well, we can really see what's timestamped there. And so like this week we've got, Brian Rosada. And basically, I can put them in a folder. It's nice and neat, and things like that. And I have about what did I say, 8 to 9?
Yeah, snowed under again.
Right, and it just happened overnight. So that's great. That just means people heard that and are responding to it. So that's great. So you want to read a little bit of this here?
I surely will. Okay. I surely will. And don't call me Sally.
All right.
This is from Brian, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, Brian. Brian says, I didn't know what Lord of the Rings was until the movies came out when I was 12. My viewing experience for them was incredibly unique. I was excited to see the film after seeing the trailers, and my older brother's excitement was infectious. He worked at the movie theater. Back then, they were all still film projectors, and the employees had to check the print, i.e. watch the film. So they would wait until after midnight and watch the film. This was before midnight showings became a thing. I remember that. Mm-hmm. My brother got me into the empty theater, and he, his friends, and I checked the print of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. That is a cool... I've not heard that one yet.
That's really cool.
That's amazing. There was then 10 of us in the theater. At 3 a.m. when the film finished, I was absolutely blown away. My brain could not comprehend what I had just seen, nor how I was going to explain it to my friends in the morning at school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, morning. All of us who saw it were in kind of a trance and found ourselves at a Denny's discussing... Dude, this sounds like Waffle House for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
At a Denny's discussing the film a half hour later. Only one of us had read the books, and he was peppered with questions as to where the story was going. Right. I think so many people, especially like kind of our age... Yeah. That's how they were introduced to it. In the same way Brian was. In the same way we were like, well, I guess you read The Hobbit before the films, but the films were my introduction. It's just, it's amazing, how that got people into stories.
There was like a couple ways. When you look back, I've heard people talk about that. I don't know to take away here, but like the history of the waves in which this has become popular, gone away, come back again. And it's kind of come in phases. And sometimes the release of those histories have brought it back. So Christopher working for his father and gathering that material for us. Has brought some,
and the
some
show,
life back.
The show's going to do the same thing.
The show will do the same thing. Yeah. So It is what it is. So I just got, I had a librarian who handed The Hobbit to me in 6th grade. And so
that's a magical moment.
It was cool. But yeah, I was here.
At one point, we asked him how Frodo was going to destroy the ring. He looked at us for a moment, a strange smile on his face, and uttered 2 words as he chuckled, "He doesn't." Knowing I wasn't going to get the answer from him or the movies for 2 years, I started reading the books immediately. Thank God for that friend, Brian, right? Yeah. That was amazing. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
The next day at school, yes, I didn't go to bed until 4 or 5 a.m., and yes, I went to school on time at 8 a.m.
Nice.
I looked around the classroom knowing this was going to be the last normal day for a while, as none of my classmates knew what they were in for that weekend when their parents took them to see Fellowship. He was kind of, marveling that the world was about to change, the classroom anyway.
Yep.
I felt like I was the only one who knew that by Monday the sky was going to have fallen, and I didn't know how to warn them.
Yeah.
That's what a great way to put that. I could not have been more right. By the time Monday came around, everyone was talking about Fellowship. That Christmas break was one of the greatest in memory, as I spent most of it either reading Fellowship or watching it again in theaters.
Yeah.
Over the next 4 months, I read the books and finally found my answer.
Nice.
A year later, at midnight, it was amazing to sit down in a packed, sold-out theater as the lights went out. The crowd roared as if they were at a rock concert, and our minds were once again blown away by the 2 towers. Thanks for taking the time to read my story, and I hope you guys keep up the great work. Rereading these books makes me feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
Brian, you're not alone. P.S. Have you thought about doing a Lord of the Rings podcast? It's crossed our mind, Brian. Maybe one of these days we'll get into it. Brian, that was an incredible story,
dude. That is
just
really
like
cool.
all of them.
I mean, I think he's catches the idea. Like the world's about to change.
Yeah.
The classrooms did change.
Yeah.
The books were flooded.
Yeah.
He's
a great storyteller too.
Great storyteller.
That was an amazing way to
I mean, that's
give us a count.
And what an experience to be able to preview it. Right,
I'm kind of jealous of that.
I'm jealous too.
That's awesome.
That is something, and then to see that and go, whoa, like this is mind blowing.
Yeah.
So, and again, I've talked a lot about this with different things that I work on, and different projects that I'm in. But like each generation has their own way in which they come into things, their own medium and stuff. And so, I think it's great.
Great stories are retold over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In different ways.
So
that was great. So yeah, we'll keep plodding through those Bywater post letters. Again, we're snowed under. We love it. It's great being snowed under. We like the snow.
We do. So
do some strawberries with cream, Ez.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I think I wrote this one.
So I think you should read it.
Can I take a little? Okay.
You did a great. I think you're gonna have to start passing this off to you more often. You did a great job.
In the moment here. Okay. So in this chapter, Bilbo has a buddy to help him write his song. That's got us thinking, if you could choose anyone in Middle-earth to help you write your song, who would it be?
Okay. Yeah. So do I go first this time?
Yeah, you go first.
Because you usually go first.
You know, it's funny. Hold on. I actually wrote the question and I didn't even think of the answer.
Okay, who would I have help me write my song?
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
You know what? I'm going to take, I'm still riding this wave from Meeting Billy. Going with Pippin.
Yeah,
I like humor. I like craziness. I like maybe not always being understood.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like that. That's just kind of how I am. I feel like I relate to Pippin that way. I think if we were 2 hobbits, you'd be Merry and I'd be Pippin, kind of a deal. I'm gonna sing a song with Pippin. We know Billy's got a great voice, so he's gonna carry it that way. And I think we come up with some really creative, not nearly as deep as Bilbo and the Dunedain, but. Not far off, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think they'd be playing it. The hobbits would be going to the record store going, "Oh, can I get a little bit?" Sure. Yeah, here it is. It's number 1, top of the charts.
Gosh, that's awesome.
If you, Ezra, had to pick someone to craft a song with.
This is tough.
It is tough. Smog? Would you pick Smog? It'd be on fire.
Oh my gosh, it'd be on fire, you dog. Okay.
Too hot?
Yeah.
Drop it like it's hot?
Yeah. Let me think.
Smog Dog.
I think I would like my top contenders.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil.
Oh, dang!
That's one of my top ones. I would say Bilbo. Bilbo himself, right?
Okay.
Aragorn, right? I'm trying to think of other good and then here's the one I might go with because it's more my style. Sam.
I thought you were gonna say Shadowfax.
Shadowfax.
No, Sam would be. Dude, that'd be a good pairing.
Do you see how his mind works? And like, I wish Like I want to go back to his song at some point when we work on some of our songs this summer. It just such a good earthy style, you know.
And
he's very different. I like
he's
it.
not braggadocious about it.
Yeah,
he's a humble
right.
songwriter, almost to the point of feeling kind of embarrassed and shy.
Yeah.
It makes you want more. He makes you want more.
Absolutely.
Good one, man. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's time to share the load. We mentioned this earlier at the top of the show.
Yeah.
We have T-shirts, merch. We've got a couple things every June. So this June, if you sign up, we've got a couple things that we're working on sending you guys here. We'll wait till the end of June just to kind of see who all is interested. And but if you sign up anytime, actually, as soon as you sign up, whether it's June, July, August, September, doesn't matter. As soon as you sign up, after 30 days, I'll send you a shirt. And so you guys just kind of get a shirt to support you. One, you're supporting the podcast, which we appreciate, and we're going to send you a T-shirt that we hope you think is kind of cool. We have a lot more ideas for T-shirts. We have the slogan master over here who just keeps coming up with names for the podcast that we'll do.
Talking about our one, the Snuggly over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So anyways, that's just a way for you guys to hop on there. We have a There and Back Again series. We have the appendices, which is just kind of goofy. We apologize for that. Sometimes it's hilarious, but it's also just weird. It's just weird. It's not hilarious.
We're doing one now,
weird.
right?
Yeah, we're in
right after this.
No, we're in it right now.
This is part one of the appendices.
Yeah,
that's
right
right.
here, starting now.
That's right.
And then we're also introducing this summer our Hobbit's Guide, to Middle Earth history. So it's just basically our own little, couple Hobbits who don't know much, diving into it, and kind of in a non-threatening way. So if you guys want any of that action, something extra, definitely go check that out. So, all right. And you can find us at patreon.com/UpTalkinTolkien. And actually that works for all of our Instagram and Facebook as well.
That's right.
Which, by the way, a mistake that I made with Billy Boyd, I wrote that down on his board at first instead of an unexpected podcast.
Yeah.
So that's why I went back. I was like, gosh, dang it, Billy's not going to be able to not going to be able to find us. So I went back and gave him all that.
We do have too many names. That's a problem. I know others who have that same problem.
Yeah.
In our story. Sorry, I was just kind of messaging Tammy Lane there. Excuse me.
Oh, no big deal.
Sorry about that. Is it time for weekly well wishes, formerly fortnight farewells?
Yes, I think it is. I think it is.
Okay. Well, that's sort of sad, sort of unfortunate. We never like parting ways. Should we talk about like the potential that this next chapter might be broken into two parts?
Okay, so we did what we will. Rarely will we do this because we know that it kind of can throw things off. But the Council of Elrond is so big, and you guys know Lane and I take we take a while. And it is what it is, but we love it. We're doing it. We're passionate about it, and
you guys deserve the best, and we want to give you our best. So.
Every line matters, and we really like to pull it apart. So we will take our time with the council. We're going to divide it into two parts. So and now that we're doing the weekly show, it won't be as much of a burden to kind of do that. So. That's right. So we'll get that in two parts.
So we want to thank you for stepping off the road with us. Our next chapter will be digging deep into Chapter 14 or Chapter 2 of Book 2, The Council of Elrond Part 1. Whoa, that's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, if you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, or leave a comment, or send us a Shadowfax.
We'll see you in a week. And remember, Frodo lives.
Yeah, how did I do?
You did a great job. You were awesome, man.
Oh, Dad, you killed me. I'm sitting here laughing. I'm trying not to laugh.
You were awesome. You were awesome.
Did I pronounce some of the words wrong?
No.
Well, you almost butchered the Shire. You almost butchered the Shire.